Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you're watching this transmission. 'Tis I, Mike Martins, your housing discussion guru. And we will be discussing trends in the housing, obviously. Welcome to Trends in the Housing Market. And we'll be following the trends in the housing market, a global crisis that interties with each other and kind of mimics each other. In the English-speaking world, of course, that is being plagued with this, and it's usually the countries that speak English that are predominantly the problem with housing right now. So let's get to it. Today is let me get my calendar open here, my trusty calendar down here. It is the 6th day of September 2018, and we got a couple of cool things happening right now. I mentioned this in last week's show, and we're approaching spring in the Southern Hemisphere. There's going to be a lot of spring sales on in Australia and in New Zealand. So I'm very interested to see the new spring sales and what's happening. So I got quite a few good articles here from all the English-speaking world that we're going to be covering tonight. Hope everyone can start joining us in the chat. And 'tis I, Mike Martins. So let's do this. I want to thank Melanie from Hamilton, I spelt that wrong. It's my fault. From Hamilton, Ontario, that watches my show every Wednesday, or watches, because it's so late on my time zone, I rewatch it at work the next day. Nice. And I want to send a special thank you to Hank, who sent me a tip in my PayPal. Thank you, Hank, from New Zealand, for that. And so everything supports the transmission, guys. My 20 hours a day on YouTube, 20 hours a week on YouTube. Anyways, trends in the housing market, and I am launching pretty early this morning so we can get some people in the East Coast on the horn here. And hopefully it's noon right now. We're almost noon. I think we're close to noon right now in Australia. So hopefully we can get somebody on the horn from there on the phone. So let's kick off with the first article here. Canadian mortgage credit growth grinds to a halt, worst growth in 18 years. Guys, you're going to be seeing this all around. Growth is going to be tapering, of course, because sales aren't going to be moving as fast, and you're going to start to see a lot more product on the market for sale. Justin Peters in the house saying, hi, how are you? Carl, comments are going to start rolling soon. So Canadian mortgage credit growth grinds to a halt, worst growth in 18 years. Remember, guys, when the middle class isn't buying, the growth dies. Okay, and when the foreign investors stop investing, the growth dies because the middle class can't afford to buy. That's very simple math, guys. You look at it, it's like doing the math is not that hard on this stuff. But the Canadian real estate market is slowing down, and it's hitting mortgages. Bank of Canada, BOC, numbers show mortgage credit grinded to a halt in July. The annual rate of mortgage growth fell to the lowest level in 18 years and is set up to go lower. Canada owes $1.52 trillion in mortgage debt. I think Canada's debt clock is at $2 trillion or $3 trillion Canada owes in debt. I'm not sure. It's been years since I've seen it. So Canadians set a new dollar record for the outstanding mortgage credit at institutional lenders. The outstanding balance stood at $1.52 trillion in July, up $4.95 billion from the month before. Households sent the total to $54.22 billion, higher than the same. This is crazy. Billion higher the same time last year. On the upside, lenders are primed to receive a whole lot of interest payments. On the other hand, if we look closely, we see the rate of growth is actually shrinking very quickly. So if the rate of growth goes down, it's because people aren't buying anymore, things aren't trading anymore, they're not changing hands anymore. So look at that. Wow, look at the growth. Holy smokes, this mortgage debt, but it's tapering. Good. So it's tapering at 1.52 trillion. Good. We got a lid on it now. We hit the debt ceiling, guys. We hit the debt ceiling. That's it. It's starting to taper. We're good to go here. Don't worry. Captain waiting for okay to take off. All right. Canadian mortgage credit falls to lowest growth since 2001. The growth of mortgage credit fell to its lowest levels in almost 2 decades. The $54.22 billion increase from the year comes in at just 3.7% growth and still sounds pretty decent until you realize it's only 0.68 in real terms. The annual pace of growth is now the lowest it's been since July 2001. For historical context, a then new artist shamed Shaggy. A then new artist named Shaggy topped the charts. It Wasn't Me. Oh, that's the song in 2001. It goes like this. I got a girl with a really small bladder knocking on the bathroom door. I don't know if you remember that one. Yeah. She got to pee. And we barely started driving when she told me she's got to pee. Woman likes to drink a bottle of water. Yeah, I remember that song. It Wasn't Me, yeah. When mortgage growth was last this low. Wow, that was a good while back. Of course, most of you have no idea who he is. So ask your mom for the best explanation. Then tell her mortgage level fell to Shaggy era level of growth. And email us her take. You know what? I have a feeling it's going to go down to Bryan Adams down, and it's going to go back down to Duran Duran down in the early 80s there. So Canadian outstanding mortgage credit change. A 12% change in 3-month annualized change of outstanding mortgage. Look at that. Oof. There's a 3-month annualized. Wow. So this is outstanding mortgage credit change. It's going down because people aren't exchanging anymore, and the middle class isn't buying anymore, plain and simple. So, let's keep going here. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to head to comments, okay, guys? Mortgage growth likely to head lower. Looking at a short-term trend, these numbers will likely come in lower for at least a few more months. Annualizing growth over the past 3 years, we just get 1.7% lower than inflation. This means the annual growth rate came in at the same price as the past 3 months. The rate would fall 1.7% until this number rises above the annual pace for a while, except the rate continued to fall. So guys, we're moving into 2 months of dip. First month is a blip in the pan. Second month becomes a reality, and third month becomes a trend. So once the trend starts going, it doesn't stop moving. Canada's coming off on record sales years, and interest rates are quickly climbing. Yeah, well, you got to hedge against the Trump bump. Someone's got to do it. Some countries got to start pulling up its socks and manufacturing and start, fixing their country. I think Canada is in line for the next repair, if you want to call that. That's dropping demand for new loans and tightening credit requirements. It shouldn't be a huge surprise that mortgage growth is on a decline, of course, and likely to slide further. I hope it goes down to the Duran Duran time back in the 80s, the reflex. Flippers are going to be caught red-handed, creeping up with the house next door. Yeah, that Shaggy song, It Wasn't Me. That's a classic song. Okay, Maiku Saunders in the comments saying, "Darn, thought this was 6:30 Pacific DT. Was this Eastern time? No, I just went live. Right now, guys. So I'm just gonna keep. I'm gonna keep going for a little bit. When I start really early trends in the housing market, I usually go for a while, right? So I usually got quite a bit of stories and quite a bit of guests on that I try to cram into 2-3 hours, right? And then H1H says, Mike, got a stock market question. I'm a beginner, and I've heard how important it is to diversify, but I've also heard from many people that diversifying is a waste of time. What do you recommend? Guys, you know what? I'm always going to recommend to diversify, period. You want to lay a bit of oil, a bit of tech, a bit of pot, marijuana stock. You want a little bit of not too much banking because they're on edge right now. But there's a lot of sectors: oil, spot oil, gold. There's lots to silver. The good thing is when you're so diversified, when my marijuana stock goes down, my oil goes up, and then when my oil goes down, my gold goes up. It's weird. You're green in some areas, and then you're red in some areas. So when I see sometimes that I like my steel stocks or my metal or precious metals or whatever goes down, I'm realizing that oil's going up. It's a back and forth market. Diversifying is good, but be smart with. You could also do ETFs. Basically an ETF is one sector of the market. So ETF would look at all the best oil stocks, and they would invest in all those stocks for you one time. It's like a glorified mutual fund without all the stupid fees and stuff. All right, let's move on. Canada's major interest rate hike may be setting up major economic problems. Guys, I've been saying this. We've been doing calculations here on the screen on the show showing what happens if it goes up even a 0.5%. It's 0.5%, even a 0.25%. Strikes fear in the hearts of many investors and buyers and flippers. So this is coming back with a vengeance. And I mean, if they're at 0.25%, it is like $50-$60 per mortgage. A lot of people can't afford 50-60 cents increase right now. One of Canada's monetary measures is showing interest rates will be a drag on the economy. Well, how are you going to hedge against inflation? I know I keep saying the same thing like a broken record. If we don't, then our money becomes more and more devalued. Mind you, our exports become more attractive. But it just means our value, our wealth is worthless. You know what I'm saying? In the country here. Numbers show slowing growth at M1, a measure of the cash. Slowing growth occurs after interest rate hikes. As more money is used to service debt, the slowdown is often a sign of slowing economic growth will downfall. I think they need to monitor how much cash is out there and start cutting back. Or they're going to have to start removing zeros off our money. Remove 1 zero off the $100 bill, it becomes 10. $50 bill, remove 1 zero, becomes a 5 now. That's what happens to the currency once we start heading. If we don't hedge against inflation, we're in a lot of trouble, people. The M1 is one of the monetary aggregates used to measure the money supply. This indicator includes currency outside the banks and checkable deposits, aka easily accessible cash. Someone always points to in the comments that people don't hold cash because they use credit cards. The credit card company holds cash that is transferred to the merchant's account when you spend. So that cash is mostly included as well. The M1 is an important indicator since it tells us about future production in the economy. When interest rates rise, they bring up the cost of borrowing. Consumers and businesses hold on to less cash since the cost of servicing rises. If the growth falls too quickly, it lowers the amount of cash that would be used for spending and investing. Less spending and investing means less economic growth, which is bad if it happens. Yeah, the middle class, the middle consumer, the working poor, the middle class starts losing confidence in the markets and they stop spending and they start getting nervous. So they start to save, right? M1 growth falls to lowest since 2003. If slowing growth of the M1 is bad, then Canada is in for some turbulence. The annual rate of growth fell to 3.9% in July, down over 60% from the year before. This is the lowest level of growth since October 2003, a strange period of Canadian economy. Sometimes it helps if we hop in the time machine and see what's happening. 12-month change to M1. Here it is. There it is there. 5.5, 7.9. Wow. Wow, look at that, guys. Back in 1990. Whew. So this is interest rates are going to be it's going to be a huge problem. I'm seeing this. This is not a good move right now. They have to raise interest rate. They don't have much of a choice. But the way I'm looking at this right now, this is actually somewhat of a problem here, guys. So recession period was 2009. Then we have the recession period of 91. Oh, it's not good. Sorry, guys. I'm just kind of like awing at it. Except it could go much lower. The pace of growth could fall even lower. If we look at the short-term trend, analyzing a trend in a common method for forecasting the future growth, really it's just taking short-term trends and projecting it as though it were a full year. Yeah, that works too. Using a 3-month annualized trend, we're seeing it fall to a fraction. The 3-month annualized trends reached 0.7% July, down 89%. That's a big deal, guys. This is huge. Sorry, I have to see this again. I'm sorry, guys. That's pretty deep, guys. Yeah, we're heading towards a recession, and before you know it, we're in a depression. Canadians appear to be more sensitive to rate hikes than the experts are letting on. After only a mild interest rate hikes, we're seeing the broad measures of cash plummet. Slowing M1 typical precedes slowing economic productivity, so we're likely overshooting growth. Although we think we heard a few people say it's different this time. Cue eye roll. Yeah, it's going to be different this time. With people buying that blender. Remember that article I read with people buying that blender on their credit cards? And if that blender doesn't get purchased anymore on their credit cards, then the blender won't be sold. And then the middle class and the blender company has problems with creating more, you know what I'm saying? More blenders because there's no demand for them. Oh, somebody just commented on one of my videos. I agree, interest rates must rise to bring some sense to the real estate market. Someone's commenting on an old video I made. Okay. Hi, Mike. Okay, stock market question I answered. Back to the comments. Hi, Mike. How do Australia interest-only mortgages work? How does the house ever get paid off? It doesn't. The whole scheme behind interest-only is you just pay the interest on the principal, hoping that the loan-to-value changes where the value of the house keeps going up. And that's when interest-only loans came out, interest-only mortgages came out, and interest-only second mortgages and interest-only third mortgages came out. These were temporary band-aids, especially for people that couldn't afford to put too much down and couldn't afford to pay down the actual payment down. Well, let's just pay off the interest then. Just owe us for the interest, at least. Yeah, your principal, the principal payment, the payment, the actual value that you borrowed will never decrease. But that's dumb, because when the value starts decreasing, when the loan starts decreasing and you pay it down, your interest rate might be the same, but you're still paying less interest because you're paying a less bigger principal. But people forget that, right? Oh, I'm just paying interest only on this big lump sum. No, but if you brought it down halfway in 10 years, you'd only owe for what half of it's worth. And yeah, your interest rate could stay the same, but you're paying less because you have less debt to service. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's the way it works. You know what I'm saying? So no, you do not ever pay it off. It's basically to get you in. Basically, a mortgage prison is what it is. It gets you in and you're shackled. So unless you could flip that property at the right time when the markets get hot, then hopefully you could do well. So if that doesn't work, you're in a lot of trouble, man. Yeah, interest only, you never pay down that principal. You're a poops creek. You're a poops creek without a paddle. And that was one way to get people interested into the market, lowering their monthly payment to service their debt. Now with interest rates going up, and I think it's like 50 or 60 or 70% interest-only mortgages right now in Australia going to come up for renewal in the next 2 years. All I have to say is this. Pray. Or start making arrangements now to start unloading your property. Let me take a sip of this water. Okay, guys. Next question. Banks are afraid of Bitcoin. They're trying to manipulate the price of Bitcoin this year. Of course they are. The Bitcoin will rule ultimate all, but I don't think it'll happen in our lifetime. My lifetime it won't be. It's too pioneer. They're going to have documentaries 100 years from now on how Bitcoin evolved and fell and came back and how the banks manipulated it. And eventually Bitcoin is the one winner, all winner. You know, it's the whole thing. It's going to be the thing that takes over the world. But it's too early in its pioneer stages, you know. It's like when the first people arrived in California, when the wagons arrived and they started farming and stuff. A lot of people looked at San Francisco when they arrived in California. They looked at it. There's nothing there. And then 50 years later, you had a small city, right? Same thing like Bitcoin. Right now, people are still planting the seeds for Bitcoin. And that's what's happening in Bitcoin stage right now. Okay, Owen says the Bank of Canada decided not raising the interest rates today, but they said they'll raise rates very soon. That's October, by the way, they're going to raise rates. People should be cautious. Why are they not raising it, but saying they will? You know what the thing is? They want to. The thing is, Canada is not creating an aggregate or a cushion for a crash, and that's a big problem. When you don't create a cushion for a crash by raising rates, raising interest rates, basically you're preparing for turbulence in the market and ready for things to go down because, and then you could hedge against inflation. You could. A lot of good things could come out of this, but for the housing, our economy, lots of Australia, Canada, and the UK, and New Zealand, a majority of their economy is based off housing. Not the United States. Housing. Housing. Does anybody know in the comments what the United States' #1 export is? If anyone wants to answer that. Okay, One Man's Ways in the comments. Hey, brother, how you doing? Hey, folks, how you doing? Hope you're doing well, buddy. Gordon Smith says that's crazy. And Low Roller Scratcher says, I guess we have to wait 10 years. Then Donald G says, doubt it. It will be a new. It will be a new coin. Hey, One Man Way. And then everyone's saying hi. And Military LOL. And Owen says today was a decision day on Canada's interest rates. I did. I have the article right here. I just right here. Interest rate. I'm just reading the precursor to it from today. Canada's interest rate hikes and why. But look at this. You know why? I'm gonna go back to this again. This is a problem because we're not spending, or we're not. There's no more cash on hand. Is what it is. People are tapped out. Remember that article I read for you guys today about 50% of BC people living in the province of BC are living paycheck to paycheck? Gordon Smith is asking, are interest-only mortgages coming to Canada? I don't think they'll do that. It's too volatile. You buy an interest-only property right now, and it drops 1%, and you paid $100,000, you are out. You're out. If it's $1 million, you're out 10 grand right off the top. You got to be really careful with interest only because you're playing the market now. You're actually playing the market every day. Oh my God, our housing price is going to go up. Oh my God, our interest is going to go up. Interest rates go up. My house loses value. Oh my God, what am I going to do? That's what happens. You don't want to live that kind of panic mode. You maybe do an interest only mortgage if you put down 50% of the house's value. 50%, 50. Then you do interest only, and then you could weather a storm. You have a little bit of aggregation there. So property prices drop 20% or 10% or 5%, you're still in the plus, #1 export is machinery, including computers. That's what someone's saying here. America's #1 export is that. No, I'll tell you what America's #1 export is. You ready for this, guys? Is inflation. Inflation is their #1 export. They just send money to people, print it off, and send it off. Yeah, One Man's Way. Thanks, buddy. $5. I told you that just hold off on sending me super chats for at least for another year, buddy. So One Man's Way is asking a question. Hold on. There's somebody here. Low Roller Scratcher says, is it smart to live in mobile homes since it's cheaper rent? Well, okay. It's okay to live in a mobile home if you own the land. You're not paying pad fees. So if you're not paying pad fees and all that crap and hookups, most of the stuff should be free. I mean, I don't know why you're paying for that stuff. You know what I'm saying? If you're out and about and moving around a lot, like they do in California, maybe, and you own the mobile home free and clear, and you have all the money you make is disposable income, goes to gas and insurance, maybe. But that's something you got to weigh out on what's happening in your life and if it works for you. One Man's Way says, what are your thoughts on personal bankruptcy to break out of this bubble? I could see them outlawing bankruptcy for housing like university. Yeah, you know what? It's a mortgage prison. Australia, you can't go bankrupt on your... it's really hard to go bankrupt. You can, but it's a lot of work to go bankrupt. You got to get a lawyer. It takes years for it to be settled. It's like student loans. Student loans, government smart. We got to prop our economy. This is the government of Canada and the U.S. We're going to take over student loans. Because back in the day, the banks used to offer you student loans. And you pay the bank, and the banks would be competitive with rates and give you a better rate at another bank. But no, the government says, hey, let's just federalize this, and we adjust the interest rates as we see fit. And we collect from the students. And if we keep preaching that education is the way to go, and there's no other way in life without education, then people drink the Kool-Aid and fall in love. Let's move on. Peace Arch News. Metro Vancouver home prices edge lower for 2 straight months. Guys, we're going into month 2. Remember 3 weeks ago I read that article where home prices edge for the first straight month? For the first month? Now it's 2 straight months. One more month, it becomes a trend. Let's keep going here real quick. I'm going to read this quick and I'll go back to the comments. Benchmark price is $1,083,000, up 4.1% compared to August 2017, but down 1.9% since May 2018. So we're starting to see movement in the market here. The Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver says for detached homes, townhouses, and condos have fallen for 2 consecutive months in Metro Vancouver. The board says that the benchmark price for all types of properties is currently $1.083 million, up 4.1%. to August 2017, but down 1.9% since May 2018. It's a downward trend, people. Detached home prices fell 2.8% since May to 1.561 million, which is also down 3.1% compared to the previous August. Attached home prices fell 0.8% to 864,000 since May, but rose 7.9% compared to August 2017. Condominium prices also dropped since May, 1.6%, 695,000, up 10.3% from the same time last year. Remember, the cheaper units always go up more in value. The cheaper units, like condos, townhouses, are always the last ones to sell, and those are the ones everybody jumps on because of FOMO, fear of missing out, right? REBGV President Phil Morris says the statement that current buyers have more listings to choose from and face less competition in the area than in recent years. So bidding wars are becoming a thing of the past now in Vancouver. He says they've also seen less active in recent months with 1,929 home sales in the region last month compared to 3,043 in August 2017. And prices are beginning to edge down as a result. You know what they're going to blame it on? 1, they're going to blame it on Trump. 2, they're going to blame it on the auto sector. And then steel and all that stuff. And then 3, they're going to blame it on... what was the other one I was thinking? Trump. And they're going to blame it on everything they can. But here's the deal, guys. Here is the deal with this. It's actually quite a big deal. It's affordability. And that's what it boils down to. Plain and simple. Once the middle class can't afford to buy, once the working poor is out of the race, so to say, they pick up and leave. Mass exodus. Here in Merritt, we're having a lot of people like myself moving in from Vancouver, and we're changing the landscape of the city. I'm running for city council here. I already filed my paperwork this morning with City Hall. I'm doing everything. I want to see change. You know what I'm saying? So that's that with that. Let's go to some comments here. This is by the Canadian Press, by the way. Let's move on to, again, another one of these. Before I kick this off, let's get some comments here. The interest is tax deductible. The principal isn't with negative gearing. Okay, see, that's in Australia and New Zealand. In Canada, it's different. In Canada, they wouldn't do that. It wouldn't work in Canada because it's not tax deductible, right? And then Banku, how are you, my brother, in the comment section? Purple Kool-Aid. That's what people are drinking. Don't forget to check out the show I had with him last week. Or was it early this week? It was last week on the weekend. He was on talking about Japan and his life in Japan and how it's changed his life and how he left the city of Vancouver. Anyways, Low Roller Scratcher says, have you seen Turkey currency is collapsing in USA. Canada currency next to collapse. It looks like, guys, the Turkish currency is on a downfall. It's also Saudi Arabia today, this morning, hit the markets pretty hard. So we'll see with that. General Dynamics in London, Ontario, laying off workers. Most of these people getting let go this round where the engineers not good. Yeah. And someone says, you got to blame the Chinese buyers in Vancouver. And Donald G says, foreign buyers, they'll blame. Yeah, it's the great Canadian blame game. So we're going to go into the Christmas blame game now. The great Canadian summer blame game was really good. Everyone's like, oh, this, could it be that? Oh, is it rising interest rate? Is it the boomers? Some people are saying, oh, millennials, they're old enough to buy houses now and they're rising up the prices. Millennials don't have a pot to piss in. Millennials have no money. Anyways. One Man's Way says, Mike, I'm buying hot selling items for Amazon using coupon sites to buy dirt cheap, then selling back on Amazon. I already made $200 this week. Thanks for the inspiration. Yeah, buddy, you know what? Here's the deal. You made that. Okay, let's say you paid $100, sold it back for $200. Or even if you paid $150 and you sold it back for $200. Do that a million times. One Man's Way. You do the same procedure you did a million times. That's $50 million if you make $50 profit. Think of it like that, guys. Think of the way I'm telling you it. Oh, Mike, I only made $10 selling this thing, and how much work did it take? Oh, 10 minutes to pack it, but man, I only made $10. Sell a million of them like that. Huh, that's 10 million bucks. Yeah, I know. Okay, what's going to happen if people leave and then there is no nominal value for the locals, which is true? Then Ibenku says, in Vancouver, going to rely on foreign investment to keep going. Yep, that's why they're working on bringing a lot of people in. And Low Roller Scratcher says, blame the evil, greedy rich. This is why the prices collapse in Vancouver housing. Average Joe can't afford. Yeah, middle class leaves. Leave, goodbye. I can bring up articles to show you. Here, I'll bring it up again. Right here, my favorite article. Douglas Todd. And I'm going to contact this guy in his office here. He's a reporter for the Vancouver Sun. Aboriginals and whites leaving Metro Vancouver. Okay, Aboriginals and whites are leaving Metro Vancouver for the regions of BC, particularly east in the Fraser Valley, Vancouver Island, Okanagan, according to Statistics Canada. A net total of 9,345 whites and 460 Indigenous people left Metro Vancouver for other parts of the province in the one-year period ending July 2016. We already passed July 2017, and we just passed July 2018. I want to know how many people are leaving. I'm going to call this guy. There's a contact here for him. I want to find out now how many more have left, because the city is becoming, Anyways... Oops. Where's that article I was supposed to read? I read that one. And I got Anon in the comments section. Anon is a 2-time world champion in the comments section. All right, let's go back. Where's my article? There you go. Let me just take a sip of this water before I read the next one. Hot. Okay. Low Roller Scratch. Oh, I read that. Anon says bringing in mass immigration artificially props up the GDP temporarily. Yeah, that's what's been happening in Vancouver and Sydney and in Auckland and London. And London is far gone right now. Yeah, someone's asking in the comments if anyone's debt free. No high-paying jobs anymore. People rely on gigs economy to be able to survive and pay their basic everyday needs. Guys, I read the article today. 50% of people living in British Columbia are living paycheck to paycheck, and it's a very sad day to read that. Vancouver housing sales hit 6-year low in August. I already read that. Okay, where is this? Advisor.ca. Housing affordability worsens for 12 straight quarters, National Bank. This is from September 4th, 2018. Canadian housing was less affordable in Q2 for the 12th straight quarter as mortgage interest rates continue to rise, National Bank said on Tuesday. The decline in affordability affected 7 out of 10 urban markets. That's huge, people. The bank's housing affordability monitor said as mortgage interest rates rose for the fourth consecutive quarter. Victoria and Quebec City had the worst deterioration in housing affordability. The report said that home prices rose 9% and 2% respectively. In contrast, a slowdown in the real estate housing market in Toronto and Vancouver meant housing affordability in the former impoverished slightly in Q2, while affordability stayed the same in the latter. In fact, home prices experienced their weakest gain in almost 4 years in Vancouver, while Toronto posted a decline, said a report. That being said, both cities remain painful environment for new home buyers, and this is unlikely to change in the short term as central banks remain in a tightening mode, it added. A Q2, 57.1 months were required to save for a mortgage down payment for a representative home at the savings at a rate of about 10%. That's 57.7 months in the first quarter. Holy crap. So guys, that's a quick one I wanted to throw out there by advisor.ca. Let's move on. August sees fewest Vancouver detached home sales in 27 years. Look at detached home sales. Holy smokes. Okay, guys, if you're living in Vancouver, if you guys are living in Vancouver, you guys need to sit back and listen to this. This is what's going to be happening across California. This is what's going to be happening across Washington State, King County. You're going to see this happening. It's happening right now in Portland, Oregon, right now as we speak. But what's happening in Vancouver? Remember, Vancouver is kind of the blueprint of what's going to happen on the rest of the West Coast, right? August sees the fewest Vancouver detached home sales in 27 years. This is by Steve Saretsky, very popular real estate agent down on the coast. It was another quiet month for Vancouver's detached housing market. Sales are trickling in at their lowest count in recent history, and at the month of August didn't fare any better. There were just 116 home sales for the month of August. That was down 30% from a year ago. 116 home sales at the tail end of summer? That's the tail end of summer. That's when a lot of real estate agents are brushing up and closing up deals and working on other deals and calling people into the office before the season closes. 116 homes. But look where it was like in 2015. Look at this: 379, 392, 432. But that's when it was a healthy market. That's when the middle class were buying from each other, right? When I bought from my neighbor, or I bought from three blocks down, or the next town over, but I'm buying from another middle class person, in turn for him or that person to upgrade to the next house, right? Or in turn for me to upgrade from my house to a bigger house, and then someone downsizing their house. You know what I mean? It's musical chairs. Anyways, sales were even lower than August 2016 when home sales crashed after the BC government abruptly introduced a 15% foreign buyers tax. The count was also lower in August 2008 when liquidity has seized up across the world, just months prior to the collapse of Lehman Brothers. While volumes sit at record lows, inventory has been slowly creeping up higher. Remember? There's more demand on the market. So stop pulling that supply and demand bullcrap. Oh, we need to put more on the market. We need more projects. We need to break more ground. That's a bunch of crap. Total homes for sale edged the higher by just 1 point from prior year. However, inventory for the month of August hasn't been this high since August 2012. So here it is here. This should be inventory here. Vancouver detached inventory for August. There it is. So inventory is slowly creeping up, people. So here's 2016, 2017, 2018 of each August. Oh. Look at 18. Look at 2008. Look at the inventory. Holy smokes on the market. While prices remain incredibly sticky, as they always are in the real estate downturn, there is no doubt they are sliding lower. This is particularly the case in Vancouver's west side, where many detached homes are trading back to near 2015 prices, erasing a good portion of the bull market run-up. The real estate board's official MLS benchmark is now shows 6.5% decline year over year. However, the reality is much worse for illustrative purposes. Here's a 3-month rolling average, which shows detached prices in Vancouver peaking in April 2016 and have since declined 18 points. So here it is here. And there it is there. Wow. Whew. Meanwhile, new listings remain weak, declining 17% compared to August 2017. This suggests, along with low sales volumes, that sellers haven't hit the panic button just yet. Guys, a lot of people are sitting back and hoping back for like 2017 or 2016 or ludicrous numbers. Toronto, a lot of people in Toronto are just sitting back and waiting for 2017 numbers again in Toronto. A lot of them are holding back and taking the loss. A lot of people are taking a loss on their investments. So quite a few people are taking a loss on investments out east, hoping that it bounces back and they can cash out quick. That's a pipe dream, guys. Hold on, let me take some water here before we go to comments. Okay. Okay. Mike Martin, can you buy $20K in the house in the Philippines? Oh yeah, 20K gets you something decent. Like really decent. 1 or 2 million pesos, about 30 or 40,000 US dollars. Yes, you could build a house, but like a nice one. My wife already owns land, so it's going to cost us about 20 grand to build a house, but she has land. She has 2 pieces of land. Follow me on my channel. I'm going to take you guys with me to the Philippines. You come with me on my trip. Glassdoor says, in Sydney, good suburbs are still selling well. We are trying to buy a house and going to inspection every Saturday. It has not really slowed down in the suburbs. Okay, it's because a lot of people ran to the suburb. Me, where I am, housing prices won't dip for a while where I am because people are still coming in from Vancouver, where I am. I'm 2.5 hours from the biggest city, and it's Vancouver, right? And then the next major city east of me is Calgary, and that is just anything over 1 million people. It's Calgary to the east, and it's Vancouver to the west, right? So, people are still coming here. Right, so the smaller, like Hobart in Australia, Hobart's a great example. Median home price in Hobart a year and a half ago or 2 years ago was just in and around 130, 170 grand. Now they're 260, 300,000. They went up that much in a year and a half. Hobart's a fantastic example, but they'll eventually go back to affordable rates or affordable what people could afford to pay. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, suburbs are still going to be doing well. There's a house on the market here. It doesn't last longer than 8 days. 10 days, it's gone. So, Alex, Mike Martin, wife is from Philippines. He can't just invest in real estate in the Philippines. And then someone says, LOL, no. And then Sydney, good suburbs are still selling well. We're trying to buy a house and going to inspections. Okay, I read that one. And then someone says, sounds like you're smoking a bong. And then Music Entertainment says, San Jose house drops coming soon. Oh, it's going to happen. It's because there's no one there to buy it anymore, right? So I like to get him on my show, Demise Music and Entertainment. I want to get him on Skype. Add me on Skype, buddy. Mike Martins 1980. MikeMartins 1980. Add me on Skype. I'd like to talk to you. I'd like to have you on the show to talk about what's happening in California and your situation and how California is basically becoming so unaffordable. Glassdoor says, Australian government will bring in more people into the country and open the doors to the Chinese investors. Land, it's mold proof. No, actually... No, it's not going to fall. That's not going to fly. Glassdoor. Are you ready for this? Yeah, that's my Mike Martins 1989. Mike Martins 1980. It's Mike Martins 1980. I wish I was born in 89. Mike Martins 1980 at Gmail. Oh, Los Canucks ready to come on the show just as we're wrapping up the Canadian home section. Hold on. Where was I? Glassdoor. Hope you're there. You're in competition, Australia. Steve the Plumber. Australia, welcome to your competition. Canada. Canada is number one right now. Canada wants more Chinese worker students and tourists, immigration minister says. So I want to see Australia beat that. Right now, they're pushing for 500,000 per year, and they might bump it to 800,000 per year in 2019. So I want to see Australia beat that. So they're filling it in with rich investors to help weather this crash we're coming towards, or this is from 2016. I've read this article many times. There's been several updates on it. 500,000 per year. Glassdoor says they did the same thing in 2007 with more incentives for first home buyers, which boosts the lower end of the market, and that will have a domino effect as the sellers will upgrade to higher value suburb. So that's what's happening, guys. So Australia is in competition now. That's what every English-speaking country is. They're in competition to get the wealthiest people in the country. And a majority of them come from China, and that's something that's happening. It's happening. We got to call a spade a spade. If they were Portuguese, like myself, I'm Portuguese. If they were Portuguese, we'd say, oh, the Portuguese are at it again. Oh, they're bringing in more Portuguese. Oh, look at all these Portuguese workers. But it's Chinese, and that's something we have to look at. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I'm going to call the Lost Canuck guys. I'm going to get them on the phone. Remember, guys, the Lost Canuck is a 2-time world champion. Two-time world champion. Don't ever forget that. Okay, guys. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna get the Lost Canuck here on the show. I got to see what's happening in his neck of the woods. He's in Eastern Canada, in the province of Ontario. He's 1 hour north of Toronto, so he's got a good scope on what's happening there. And I'm gonna call him right now. Sweet.
Mike,
Who the hell is this?
it's the Lost Canuck. How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you, my brother?
Fantastic, fantastic. How's everything out in BC?
BC is okay. It's still warm. We're getting beautiful sunsets. Our days are getting shorter, but it's not cold and it's not hot. I hope it stays like this till Christmas.
Oh, God bless you. I hear you, man. We've been having hot days.
Good.
Well, we're 40 today, and yesterday was 38, so tomorrow's supposed to cool down.
Yeah, it gets too. It doesn't even register to go outside when it's that hot.
No. So, you want to know what's happening. First of all, Mike, I want to take just a moment. You had a video out on Faith Goldley, the one that's running for Toronto Mayor.
Yeah, Faith Goldie, yeah.
Yeah, I talked to her team 2 nights ago,
Mm-hmm.
and her manager, and I talked to her herself. I just want to give a shout out to both of them and their team. I put out a video out on her and give her a prayer because they're under attack, Mike.
Oh yeah, they have a complete media blackout on them.
Yeah, and they got a complete shutdown on their Facebook page and everything this morning. I just got off the phone before I talked to her, so I'm trying to help them out in a lot of ways as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hope to God that she just, it's a battle uphill, but I hope people from Toronto hear this. She is legit. If you listen to what she wants to do, they're trying to not make her even come as a contender, never mind win.
Okay, for people listening to this in the United States and in Australia, New Zealand, and the UK, hopefully you're not in the UK watching this because it's 4 o'clock in the morning there, but if you're watching, I want you guys to understand that Faith Goldie is someone that's running for mayor of the city of Toronto, one of Canada's biggest cities. Now, she's more of kind of like a Donald Trump put Canada first, put Toronto first. Let's clean up our streets. Let's get rid of. Let's stop the violence. Let's stop this. Let's fix this problem. She wants to fix the amount of illegals coming in across the border from the U.S. So anyway, so Mario, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, so we were talking yesterday, and just take a moment before I give you the update what's going on in Barrie and North, is that they blacked her out, and when I find out what John Tory, people have to understand, John Tory's been backed up by the Thompson family.
Mm-hmm.
If you look up that family, they're the richest family in Canada. So I want people to understand we need people to be leaders that care about us, about Canadians, about vets, about pensioners, about everybody that breathes white and red every morning. I'm tired. Everybody's tired. And I don't understand what people need. I think they should just turn off the fake. I'd say turn off the news and just educate yourself on the internet.
Cancel the cable, because cable's full of commercials and the news is crap. They don't even get the weather half the time right anyways. What's the point?
Well, look at us. We're doing housing market. We shouldn't be on here. The news should give us an update. But anyway, Mike, thank you for that. Let's get on to our topic now.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening out in Angus, I gave you a message today. I ran into a project manager out in Angus. He told me there were 7 houses left on the whole subdivision to close. Now, they were supposed to close between July and August. So everybody delayed it till August. August 26th or 27th,
Mm-hmm.
3 of them backed out of their deals. $60,000, they backed out of their deals. They were supposed to do a PDI. They told me the lawyers called. They backed out of the deals.
So they lost the deposits.
Yes, they walked away from their deposits. They lost the possession of not possession, I should say their deposits, and they lost their rights to that home. So what's happening is now that same builder is building out in the city of Maple, where Canada's Wonderland is.
Yeah.
Okay? It's a crazy area. It's part of Vaughan. It is part of Vaughan, Maple. And what happened is they were building these 3-story townhomes starting at $1 million. Okay? They haven't sold one of them. So they put up 3. They stopped building.
Because the bank's not lending them any money. No, there's no more free money.
That's right. So everybody has to understand what's going on. And when they say they're sold out, they're not sold out. Because what they're trying to do is promote it. More and more people go, why is it sold out? So they pull in, they see what they're selling. They're trying to wheel people into the sales office now.
Yeah, it's just like, remember back in the day, Mario, when we were young, and we'd walk outside the nightclub and you see this big lineup, and then there's no, when you get inside the club, there's nobody there?
That's right. That's right. And it was dead. It was just dead. They just wanted people to start filling in the line, and then they bring them in one by one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what they're doing now. All these builders are doing that, and what's happening is there's no money going out, and I think what's going to happen is the media is not saying anything because everybody's putting hush-hush. They don't want people to panic, and now inventory is starting to go up big time.
Oh, big time.
Big time. Big time.
When do you feel, or how do you feel, or when do you see the media actually calling a spade and saying, guys, we're going to have to, we can't lie about this, or we can't hide this, or we can't talk around this anymore? When are they going to call a spade and say, we're falling and it's not good? When are they going to start announcing that? What are they waiting for?
I think what they're going to do is they're going to try to put, like you said, the blame game first. And then they're going to start announcing the economy's not doing well. We didn't make peace with Trump, with the NAFTA deal. And they're going to just start blaming everybody else except our own selves.
Yep.
Ourselves is overspending, accelerating our needs, and buying things that we don't need. And that's what's going to happen. And I said it from before. We're just waiting for this car tear, whatever you want to call it, kick in.
Mm-hmm.
And once it kicks in, I think that's when, we're going to end up losing. They're going to lose 160,000 people. Are going to lose their jobs in the auto industry. And that's just car production.
Mm-hmm.
That's not meaning, parts and all this stuff. It's down the line. So the economy is going to take a big hit when that happens. And then, like you said, construction starting now, and then eventually that's going to really go deep. Really go deep.
Well, once construction stops, you have a whole sector of carpenters, bricklayers, cement finishers, concrete pourers, electricians, plumbers. You got a lot of people out of work, right?
That's right. And we're going to see psychiatrists and doctors and pharmaceutical companies making all the money.
That's right.
They're going to need the magic pill to sleep at night.
Yeah, it's becoming a major problem. So, okay, so you still starting to see clearance signs or drop signs or price drop signs and stuff? Prices?
No, they're not. They're not really dropping. I know you and I follow Andrew Clark, his Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
He showed an article, a house that sold in, if I'm not mistaken, Mike. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Richmond Hill or Markham. I'm not sure, but anyway, house was selling for 1.17, a little bungalow, back in 2017. They sold it now for $850,000. So it's $350,000 drop.
Okay, I have one in front of me right now that was sent to me.
Yeah.
This one was sent to me. I think this is the same one to talk about. It listed, for lease on 2017. Okay, in 2017 it listed for lease for $2,300. Then it listed again in 2018, January 26, for $827. Then it was terminated. Yeah. Then it was listed for $799 in 2018, April. Term expired. Then $737 terminated. Now listed again. I think, when is it? Today? No, that was
wow.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
and then it's listed again today. This week. Sorry, if I'm reading that right, the date right. It was yesterday for $699.
For how much?
It's listed for $699. So it started at $827.
Yeah. So we're starting to see the drops, but they're not as you could say a comparable that we think that should be fair. We're not even close yet.
Come on. $827 to $699 is a bit of a drop.
No. I didn't say it's a bit of a drop, Mike.
Oh.
I said it's not comparable what we wanted to see drop.
Oh, we want to see
affordable.
It $370, $425.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's what I meant.
But this guy, this guy's losing his shirt right now.
Yeah. But who knows what he's losing? And the other thing I want to talk about, I don't know if you got that in the Global Mail. I think it was the Global Mail that had an article about a foreigner buying homes and selling and not paying the CRA and not being cleared. Did you read that article?
You want to send me the link to it later? I might read it on my show tomorrow. I might read it.
I can't remember if it was Global Mail, but I could send it to you later today or tomorrow. It was something to deal with foreigners buying these homes and selling them. And actually, there is a law that's been in place for years that they have to pay 25% tax when they sell. And guess what? Nobody's enforcing it here in Ontario.
Oh.
So what happened is, like I said on my other shows, how do they know they're foreigners? Does there's an application? The lawyer says, "Are you a foreigner? Are you living in that house?" Because realistically, they could say they live in that house, and they can live somewhere else. They just put their driver's license there. Nobody knows anything.
I see what you're saying.
It's not like, you know what I mean? They can hide around that bush, but if you put down that no matter if you live there or not, and you're from another country, you're non-resident of Canada, you got to pay 25%. And one guy went to court in, I think it was 2014. He had to fork over $90,000. The CRA. It's never been enforced.
Remember that article I read that was over $100 million in unpaid property tax in Vancouver?
Yeah.
I read it last year. Yeah.
I remember that.
I got a guy in the comments saying, "But Money Man, Mike, do you know about the supposed foreclosure and money laundering investigation launched on the burnt down house in Vancouver that listed nearly $4 million? Yep. In Kitsilano, I already read that article. I think it was 2 weeks ago. We were kind of poking at it, making fun of it a bit. Remember that one, Marriott Cities? That burnt down house with no nothing? Yeah, it burnt down and crushed, and they were selling it for $4 million.
Yeah, it's just quite crazy, and like I said, everybody argues with me. Oh, they're not going to go down like they were in 2009, 2008. I said, oh yeah, they're going to go down again. Because if they don't go down, nobody's going to buy them.
And you know
and
what?
Now that,
Now that they're going to go down, no one's going to buy them and continue. And now that.
yeah, and the other thing I want to say to all the listeners out there, no builders putting up new built homes unless they're confirmed sold.
Yeah.
It's the first time in 10 years they've done this. I've talked to a lot of the contractors, a lot of the builders, and that's what they're doing. They stopped. There's no digging, there's no foundations going in, and this is a sign where now you're going to see the sales are going to start dropping now, big time, and they are now. Now that they're going to wake up, now that resales are going to start to drop, because that's what keeps our home sales is the new homes. Once a new home gets a figure or a number or control the economy, that's what sells the resales. So that's what's going to happen next. We're going to see the resales. The resales are going to stay steady until October. But once September's numbers come out in new homes, that's when you're going to start to see either people are going to take their houses off the market if they can. If they can't, they're going to take the big loss.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of people are in a negative position, especially people in Toronto that own condominiums, and they rented them out as investment properties, and a lot of them have to renew their mortgages, and they're realizing now that the nightmares coming to them is hitting them, that they're now renting at a negative position, or they raise rents.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, I hope Steve the plumber gives you a shout today, because he's out in Toronto. He knows what's going on out there more than I do. But I know for a fact that the inventory's gone way, way up in Barrie. It's gone up to 71% from last year.
Oh, wow.
Of the resales, okay? 71%.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually put it on my Facebook page. It's a real estate guy that put it. I took a picture of it, and I put it. It's one real estate guy that actually has charts, numbers, and he's an honest real estate guy. Mm-hmm. And he shows you that the houses have to be, and he put it in his comments, they have to be more affordable.
That's, well, of course, because affordable, unless, okay, Mario, unless all of us get a 70 or 50% increase in our wages, then we can keep housing prices where they are, but we're not. Or they lower taxes by 70%.
Or that, or they give us a rebate.
Yeah, or something.
Right? That our kids can go to school for free and university no matter what, and then we don't have to pay for that. But it seems to me, like you said, it's a free market. Mm-hmm. It's gone to the riches, and it always will be. But the problem is the riches got too greedy, and the people behind it, like us, people that are listening, or people that are over debt, they pretend to be rich because they think their house is an ABM. Yeah, well, yeah, but those beautiful vacations and those all that stuff, all that high living is all coming to an end right now. That's right. It's coming on to the big end. I got a graph up here that's up to date for 2018. This was sent to me by somebody. It was updated in July. It is the Fraser Valley home sales from July 1979 to July 2018. So it starts in 1979. You see the home sales dip a bit in 1981 for the first recession or drop. Then it goes back up. Then it drops again in 2008 over here. And then you got another drop. And then right now they're down 46%. So they're right now from the highest point that they were at, they're down 71% right now. From 2003 to 2018, it's down 71%. And let me ask you, Mike, your opinion. If everyone that's out there and listening and buying these houses today or tomorrow, and the ones buying resales, if they see those charts with all our concrete evidence and facts, would you think they would be buying these houses? Well, of course not. Yeah, so that's why the media doesn't want to put it out there. They're trying to push an agenda as far as they can go. And that's why it bothers me that they can shut down somebody's website and shut down this and cause havoc, but they don't want to tell the people the truth. That's sad. It's really sad that... Did you see the video I made, the short video I made yesterday about fake news, a serious question? No, I didn't watch it. I'm going to watch it when I get off with you. It's only 4 minutes long, and I ask a really good question, and it's got a ton of comments on it. A ton of comments on it. You should see that question. Very simple question I ask. So there's a lot of comments going through the comments section. So, okay, dude,
I'm gonna let you go. It's getting late. What time is it there?
Oh, it's about 11.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you do your thing.
Yeah, you get everybody else talking on that show. I got a big mouth. I got to go to sleep.
Okay, do your thing. And are you still working right now? Are you still working on that project?
Yeah, I'm still working. I have a little company I work for. It's a mom and pop company.
Good.
And we're pretty busy, so I'm happy.
Good for you. Good for you.
Okay, buddy.
Okay.
God bless you.
Take care.
Take care, man.
God bless. Bye. Okay, so that was the Lost Canuck, Mario DeSetti's on the phone, and he is out in Ontario. I got somebody else here in California. I think he's added me on, from San Jose. I think he's added me on Skype. Let me check my Skype here really quick. Guys, if you want to add me on Skype, it's Mike Martins 1980. Okay, I'm logging into my thing. Okay, yeah, nothing. I'm not seeing anybody or no requests yet. So, Demise Music and Entertainment, if you're in California right now and you could speak to us, please add me on Skype. I want to know what's happening with the mass exodus of Californians. So here you go, guys. Here's a chart for Fraser Valley homes. Right now, I've dropped big time. I kind of wanted to put that out there with Mario on the phone. And Canadian housing market watchers, beware, an interest rate hike in October is almost a sure thing. Oh, it looks like my speaker's on. Ooh, you haven't chatted on... You have... Ah, here we go. Derek wants to connect with you on Skype. Accept. Oh, I missed a call for him. Sorry, bud. I'm going to call you back right now. Put you on speaker. Nobody home. Okay. Hopefully he'll get back to us. I'd like to know what's happening in California right now with this housing crisis, mass exodus in California. So, guys, beware, interest rate hike in October is coming. Okay, here we go. Hello? Hello? Oh, I see you there. You got to call me on the phone. On the phone's part of Skype. Phone part of Skype. Use the phone. Hold on, my speaker's off. Hold on. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Use the phone?
Yeah, call me on the phone. Yeah, he's going to call me on the phone. Everybody call me on the phone. Okay, Canadian housing market watchers beware as interest rate hike in October is almost a sure thing. Guys, rates have to go up in October in Canada, so keep that in mind, guys. It's something that must happen. So he got call me on the phone feature on Skype, guys. Please call me on the phone feature. Do not call me on the video chat. Okay, here we go. Hello?
Hello.
Derek, how are you?
I am good. I'm so sorry. I'm new to Skype. My bad.
That's okay. I'm new to Skype too. I only got it 2 weeks ago, and I've added already 75 people.
Oh, damn. All right, this is my first time using Skype, so...
Oh, we can hear you loud and clear. It's actually better than the landline, believe it or not.
Oh, nice. Okay, so what would you like to hear?
What's happening in California?
Okay, so I'm born and raised in San Jose, California, and the home prices, my mother's husband, is $1.2 million.
Is that for a mansion in
No.
Oh, no?
It's a 3-bedroom, 1,400 square foot home with 2 bathrooms and 3 bedrooms.
And that's American dollars.
That's American dollars, Mike.
That's like 1.5 million Canadian.
It's crazy. It's outrageous. And I did see a home that was 2 stories that came down to $849,000 recently.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just keeping my eye out. I have 0 college debt, 0 auto loan debt, 0 credit card debt. I have a score of like 720 credit score. I don't have too much savings, but I do have like a lot of family out here in San Jose. So, my goal in the next 3 years is to save up, maybe get a first-time homebuyer's grant, and just move in. Get like.
I'd be careful with those home buyers grants if I were you. I'd be super careful.
Okay, well, how come? I was wondering why.
They've had that already, and in Vancouver, when the market started to tank back in 2016, 2017, they brought in this home buyers grant to help out people put a down payment on, but you got to pay it back within a couple of years. If you don't, they're going to charge you interest on it.
Oh, wow, okay.
And they did it in Australia, and I think they did it in New Zealand too.
Oh, okay. So just be aware of that, right?
Be very careful. Do you guys have those things there? I think it's Brand Smart USA. I'm not sure which company does it, where you don't have to pay a cent for 5 years or 3 years, and and then you could pay it, whatever you want, but make sure you pay it before the date, or you know what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
And you know what happens when you miss a payment, or you don't pay it off by that date, and you end up with $5,000 front loaded interest because you didn't pay it.
Oh my gosh.
That's exactly what happens with those things. So watch out.
Okay. So it's basically a loan then, right?
It is. First time home buyer's grant is not to help you. It's just to entrench you.
Wow. Okay. Thanks for letting me know about that, because, I'm 29. My son is 1.5, and my girlfriend's 22.
Mm-hmm.
And we're both employed, but I do music as well and stand-up comedy on the side. So I'm just like trying to find out what the best thing is. I do have leverage, which is like a bunch of family members that are looking for rooms to rent.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a plus for me. But other than that, it's a big, heavy load of money to take on, like a house like that. So.
Because if you're at 3.5% interest, okay, let's just say arguably 3.5% interest, and you borrow $1 million, you got to pay 30, 40, 50, wow, 33, 6, 9, 12, 15, 20, 20. So you're going to pay like 30, 40 grand a year in $35,000, $40,000 a year in finance charges.
Finance charges. Is that mortgage included stuff?
No, that's your mortgage, but you have to pay 30, 40,000 a year just to carry that debt.
Oh, wow.
So that's the service, the money they borrowed you.
That's crazy. I've never done this before. So it's
so
all
be
brand new.
very careful when you buy anything. You got to make sure, okay, it's going to be hard to get a competitive rate right now with rates going up. If you do decide to buy, you got to wait for prices to come down substantially.
Yeah, you mentioned that in one of the comments. I said 600,000. I would be happy, but you said wait for 400,000.
I would wait for 400,000, because if you wait for 400,000, and it's at 3.5%, you're looking at about seven. I'm just doing the math in my head, okay?
Yeah.
You're looking at about $28,000 a year in finance charges, roughly $20,000 to $28,000 a year.
That's not too bad. That's half the price of $1 million.
Well, because you're borrowing more, right?
Oh yeah, way more.
Yeah. Imagine.
So, go ahead, Mike.
I want to make it very easy for you. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember the video I saw about that lady in Toronto where she had a 10% mortgage. Her mortgage was 10%, okay, on $1 million, okay. 10% on $1 million is $100,000 a year finance costs.
Wow.
So think of it like that in your head, okay? Think of $1 million. Think of it as round, easy numbers. 100,000 at 10% will cost me $100,000 a year in finance charges.
Oh yeah.
$1 million at 5% will cost me $50,000 a year.
50,000, yeah.
In finance. So you got to keep that in mind all the time, right? When you're
those calculations, yeah.
But you could easily find one online called My Mortgage Calculator or Mortgage Calculator online. It's free. You just type in how much you owe and what rate you're paying, and it tells you how much per month you're going to be paying towards interest, and how much per month you're going to be paying towards principal, and how much you're going to be owing after your 4-year or 5-year term is ended.
Oh, that's nice. I could definitely get into that.
Please do that on your own on the computer so you can educate yourself with that. And then once you understand what lending costs and how much lending costs in your area, who do you deal with? First National Bank of America or Wachovia?
For me, I have a credit union right now. I go through Mary West Credit Union.
Okay.
Which is, they have really good rates and stuff like that. And like I said, I have zero debt whatsoever, good credit score, and so if I do talk to somebody, I just be able to ask them about that.
Yeah, the last thing I want you is to get roped. I don't want you to get into a bank and then they rope you into something, and then you are in trouble.
Yeah, underwater.
Yeah, you don't want that. So because well, think of it like this: let's say you buy it at 6, like you're looking at buying for 6, and then what if it does go down to 400 large? And then what? You're underwater $200,000.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably hold on to it for a while because I have this is my home. This is where I was born and raised and stuff. So I wouldn't mind holding for a long time.
But the only problem is you're paying more for something than what it's worth.
True. Yes. I do got to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, you got to be very careful because right now I'm just gonna ask you as a friend just to hold back for now.
Oh no, definitely. I said 3 years time.
Okay, give yourself a good 3 years. The path should be clear. Then you can master understanding interest rates and principles and what things are at and what things should be trading at. And you could do comparables in your area too, and you could find out what in your area is selling for how much. And then you could see roughly what you're looking to pay, right?
Yeah.
So I
do have a couple realtor friends, and my grandmother. Good. Well, she just sold her house 2 years ago for $800,000.
Yeah.
And she's been teaching me about HELOCs and how not to use your home as don't use your home to buy cars and boats, which she did. Okay. But she told me, just don't do that. Use it for repairs or don't use it at all. And my grandma's just very well explained. She did get some equity in it. So she's living good now. She's got about $400,000 after everything just to kind of chill out and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I do have a circle around me of people that can guide me in the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, you don't want to be, like I said, you don't want to get roped. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I got you as well. I'm going to watch all your stuff.
Yeah, I talk a lot.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad.
Okay, now I want to ask you this question. How many people are leaving California?
Actually, I see where I work, which is in the Milpitas, Sunnyvale area, there's a lot of Indians moving in for the tech jobs.
Oh, from India?
From India. So there's been a lot of Chinese for the technology jobs, a lot of Vietnamese, and now there's a lot of Indians. So that's why I don't see anything quite going down too fast right now, because there's a lot of foreigners here for the technology jobs. Because it's the Silicon Valley, so...
That's correct.
Cisco, Apple, all those, Facebook, so...
Okay, can I ask you something? How many of your high school friends have left the state?
How many of my friends have left the state?
High school friends.
High school friends. Shit, I only chill with a couple of friends from high school. One of them just moved to Southern California. It's a little more affordable, but...
Yeah.
My grandparents have left to Nevada, but other than that, I'm not sure about high school friends. A couple have though, like Oregon and Nevada.
Yeah, because a lot of people are moving to Nevada right now because the median. I told you this in the message I sent you. The median home price right now in Nevada is $329.
That's good.
So if you pay 3% on three, your job now is. If you have a $300,000 mortgage, what is your payment going to be at 3.5%? So figure that out for me. Put it in the comments.
30,000. 30,000.
No,
15,000.
Yeah, you're looking at, so let's say at 3.5% at 300,000, you're looking at 12, about 18,500.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
But here's one thing, though. If I go out there, the only thing I wouldn't have is people that are willing to rent rooms in the house. So I'd have to be... So it'd just be me and my girlfriend working, as opposed to here, we'd have, say, a 4-bedroom house. We'd have people that want to rent out the other rooms, family members. Mm-hmm. So we could, charge $850 each room, and then I'll pay, me and my girlfriend could pay $2,000 a month, And so that we have a little leverage like that out here.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of balances out in some weird way.
Yeah, but you know, it's gotten so bad right now in San Francisco that people are renting out tents in their backyard.
Oh yeah, I've seen that, and it's freaking crazy.
Has any of the fires affected you there, or any smoke?
Smoke has, yes, definitely.
Okay.
And sometimes you can't even see the mountains. Like 2 weeks ago,
Oh yeah.
I was taking my girlfriend to work. I was like, babe, you can't even see the mountains. This is insane. You know, our son is only 1.5. I hope it doesn't affect his breathing. So,
just so you know, that's the equivalent to smoking 7 cigarettes a day, they said.
Yep, that's dangerous. Very dangerous.
And what else did I want to ask you? Okay, so you're on the sidelines. You're waiting to buy. Do you know anybody you could tell us that did buy at the wrong time and the prices are going down? Do you know anybody you know?
Oh well, I'm not sure if there's anybody I know, but I've heard all the horror stories. But another thing I wanted to tell you, Mike, was that a lot of people I know, I'm 29, that are in their mid 30s to mid 40s that I know.
Mm-hmm.
None of them own a home, and I didn't want to be rude and ask them, but I was thinking, and I was like, why? Even when the 2008 crash happened, they never bought when everything was low. So I don't want to be like that in my mid 40s, homeless,
Mm-hmm.
Couch surfing basically. So that's why I'm trying to strategize so I don't end up in that position.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, so.
And that's what I learned from watching. I was like, wow, a lot of my parents' friends and my mom, they don't own, and they just live at my mom's husband's parents' house. Luckily, they rent it out to them, but no one else I know owns anything. So
Yeah, it's the American dream is fizzling.
yes,
It's disappearing.
fizzling out.
So you're saying a lot of Indians coming in to work the tech, and a bit of Chinese, and you said a bit of Vietnamese are coming in to work tech.
Oh no, the Chinese and Vietnamese been here since the 80s and early 90s,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's the influx of the Indians now. So it's been Chinese, Vietnamese for a while. A lot of Vietnamese were refugees,
Mm-hmm.
but the Chinese came in definitely for the jobs, and then now it's the Indians for the jobs.
But then what happens to the American people that live there? I guess they move all east. They all move to Texas, Arizona, Nevada.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? You're right. There is a company that my friend works for. He left the Bay Area where we live, and he went to Oregon.
Yeah.
He moved the whole business over there.
The median home price in Oregon right now. Well, remember, Oregon's a tax-free state, right? So.
I think so. Yeah.
And the average house price in Portland, Oregon, is still $401,000.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's that's not too bad, but something about California, it's home. It always is. I do have a lot of family here that can help pitch in and stuff like that. And what I've, from talking to all the people and seeing how they haven't owned homes, I just wonder why they didn't jump on opportunities, perhaps. Or maybe they were afraid. So
I got someone in the comments section saying owning a house costs a lot of money, folks, taxes, repairs, upkeep, etc. It's not all that glamorous. So I want to give you a little bit more advice too, because you're waiting on the sidelines to buy. Please research property tax in your area.
Yeah, I have been doing that. It's around $2,300 a year for my mom's husband's house.
Okay, and that's 1,500 square feet, you told me?
Oh no, you know what? That one, I think that house is $1,300 a month. I mean, a year. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so it's about $120 a month.
Yes.
Okay.
For property tax.
Okay, as long as if you're in Silicon Valley and you can get something good there working, that's not a big problem, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's money to be made out here, and there's people looking to rent rooms out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's I was thinking about it, and I was like, wow, if I rent an apartment out here.
Mm-hmm.
A one bedroom is literally like $2,000.
Whoa!
Yeah, no, it's no joke out here. It's like $2,000. My friend was paying for one in the ghetto. It was $1,400 a month, but it was in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
So he just left that place and was like, screw this. And yeah, other apartments here, they're starting to get a lot of Indian communities in these apartments because they're not going to buy because they're probably here on an H-1B visa.
Yeah.
And they took over, so the rents are like freaking. There was apartments for like $2,100 a month, 2-bedroom.
That's like 25, 50 Canadian.
It's a lot, and that's why I was like, let me wait for the market to cool off, save some money, maybe purchase something with a good down payment, and don't get roped, don't get nothing like that, and I could just move a lot of my family in that's rent because they're already renting rooms from people that they don't know.
Wow.
And so I could be basically the landlord and just for my family, and not make it too unaffordable, and they'll be comfortable because it's family. Yeah. It's not some random person, so that's where I got my sights on, and that's why I kept asking you on the comments if that's a good idea. If you could see how that could work, perhaps, as opposed to just being a renter forever.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's a little nest egg, or it's something you build towards retirement, right? Something
exactly. My grandma said that too. She said, "Look, we bought it for $130,000, and we sold it for $800,000 30 years later."
But imagine you put that $130,000 into IBM or into Microsoft back in the day.
Oh man! Oh, she worked for AT&T, so she got some good retirement money and stuff like that.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So somebody in the comments is saying, Mike Martins, why are they not tearing down the 1 and 3 bedroom home and converting it to 3 or 4 tiny homes on the same land?
Might be expensive. Permits, you got to get permits for that.
Yeah, California's all effed up when it comes to permits and red tape, right?
Exactly. But you know what? How I was raised, Mike? I'm Hispanic. I'm Latino, Native American, and white.
But tú hablas español?
Huh? No español. I only speak English.
Okay, because I speak Spanish too, that's why.
Oh, nice. Yeah. But how I was raised was basically Mexican households. Usually it's like 8 people in a house. So there was a 2-story house my grandma bought, the one, and there was a lot of space. So me and my mom had a room, my aunt and her kid had a room, so we all pitch in, and that's how I was raised. I'm comfortable like that, and when I get older, I can't really see myself just being just me and my girl and my kid, because that's how she wasn't raised either. She's raised with her siblings and a lot of people, so
I get you.
That's how we grew up, so we'd like to kind of pass that on to our next generation as well.
Let me ask you another question. How about people sleeping in cars and people sleeping in RVs in where you are in Silicon Valley? Do you see a lot of that?
Oh, Mike, I've slept in my car a couple times.
Oh, really?
And definitely. Fun times. And then also, the other thing that I noticed is the tents. Everywhere you go, there's tents.
Yes.
All over the streets with homeless people living.
So that's a nightmare. And how many tent cities do you guys have?
Sacramento, California, which is 2 hours away, had one of the biggest ones. And out here, I swear, right across the street from where I live, there's a police, where a lot of police hang out and practice shooting guns. And literally right around the block is a homeless encampment. And 2 of them died during the flood 2 years ago.
Oh.
So they're everywhere, Mike. I see it, and a lot of them are addicted to drugs and alcohol, so they have a problem. I used to be addicted to alcohol and cigarettes, but I quit. So I feel for them. It's a choice, or sometimes they're dealt a hard hand, but the tent cities, you can see them literally driving on the street, Mike. You just look to your right, and there's like 2 or 3 tents on the main road.
Holy smokes. And do you see things getting better there before they get worse, or
No, I see it getting if you look at LA, if you ever have time and you just type in downtown Los Angeles apocalypse, a guy and his girlfriend or wife drive down and they're just like, look at this, Los Angeles downtown, all homeless people up and down.
Oh yeah, for sure. Same thing like parts of Vancouver. Same thing like parts of other cities I've been to. But did you see the one by Paul Joseph Watson, San Francisco?
Oh, I have not, but is it pretty bad?
It's really bad. They have to have a cleaning crew out there power washing the sidewalks every 3 days to clean the poop off the streets.
Oh yeah, I'm in a band. I'm a drummer in a band as well, and we had a place that we would rehearse up there in the Tenderloin, which is a very drug-infested San Francisco area.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a picture of me with poop and vomit right there. So I said, take a picture of me by this because this makes for good memories.
Yeah, it's a good learning. It's a good. We should take a whole grade 4, grade 5 class out there. Say, here, guys, look what happens when you start doing this stuff. Look what happens. You know.
Yeah, it's poop and vomit everywhere. If you want to be in that, then stick with bad decisions. You know. And I appreciate you contacting me again, Mike. It really means a lot.
Yeah, of course, buddy. Don't worry about it. So I mean, we need to have some sort of a connection. People like-minded people need to connect all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, definitely.
Because knowledge.
And just one more question,
Yeah.
you Mike. I've been talking to my parents as well. So my dad's a renter. I haven't lived with my dad since I was a kid. My mom is a renter, and the only one that's really owned a home was my grandmother that I told you.
Yeah.
So my parents' friends, some of my friends, my friends' parents, all in their 40s,
But
early 50s,
can I tell
late
you,
30s.
I want to tell you why your grandma. Before you continue, I want to tell you why your grandma owned. It's because
of the back in the day, huh?
it was cheaper to own than it was to rent back in the day.
Oh, you're right. You're right about that.
Yep. Continue. Finish off what you're saying.
And then, so, if I do stay here in San Jose, California, it's a beautiful place. The weather, you cannot beat the weather.
Mm-hmm.
If I do stay here in the next 3 years and say the house has come down to 400 to 500,000 and it's a 4-bedroom, I would be able to move in and have 5 to 6 incomes under one roof.
Yeah, and then plus you working and your wife working and everybody else contributing.
Oh, yeah. Me and I would pay majority. We'd put some aside for property tax, put some aside for repairs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I do have going for me out here. If me and my girlfriend moved to Nevada, nobody would come with us necessarily yet. So it would be just me and her. And me personally, I've worked 6 days a week. I've worked 5 days a week. But as of right now, I do creative, I do music, all this other stuff, a lot of videos on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So I can allocate that with rental income if I were to get something here and move in family, if it makes sense.
But if you move to Las Cruces, New Mexico, or, you like the weather, if you move to southern New Mexico, there's a lot of beautiful, colonial, beautiful places there. I mean, sometimes you got to know when to call a spade, right? Like, yes, it's great living in California, yes. But you know what? One day you might wake up and come to your senses and say, you know what? I'd rather take a cut in pay or make less money than living in California and work and live somewhere else and actually have what I want to have and live the life I want to live. Because now I don't have to have dependents to help me pay off a house. But you could, I don't know, you could live the.
Oh wow!
You're
right. I never thought about it like that as dependence. That's true.
So if you thought about it outside the box and actually said, you know what, because you're American, right? You could move to New Mexico and live in Las Cruces or in Albuquerque or those kind of places, and you could still get a very decent 4-bedroom, 3-bath home for $269, right? You could move outside Atlanta. You could move to Macon, Georgia. And you could pick up a nice 5-bedroom for under $200,000.
Nice. Oh, how come you moved out to Miami? What was that like?
Oh, I went down there. I opened a company down there for a while, and they wouldn't give me citizenship there, so I left.
Oh, those assholes! They should have gave you citizenship.
No, they would. They just didn't. They didn't want to. Like, I have no criminal background, no nothing, no problems, no charges, no nothing. Good standing up. I even showed them my tax returns. I've paid all my taxes, and I went to the interview. I got a lawyer. I paid $5,000. I did everything by the book. And then after I went to the interview, and they say, "Well, sorry, we don't We're not approving your type right now.
Wow, that's very unfortunate, Mike.
Yeah, whatever.
Did you have a good time out there in Miami?
Yeah, because I was single, right? So it was very good actually.
Oh yeah.
I was only Yeah, I was only there for 5 years. So I did open a company. I hired a bunch of people, and we did really well. And it's because I speak Spanish and Portuguese, and the Portuguese came in well when a lot of Brazilian people came. And those
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah, so I spoke those languages, so it did really well for us. But unfortunately, I said, look, I could hire 20 more people. I could expand. They're like, well, we're not hiring we're not taking in your kind right now. I'm like, okay. So, but it doesn't matter.
That's
It doesn't matter.
Hey,
I went to
you're back
Vancouver.
home, right?
Huh?
You're back in Canada.
Yeah. 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 So I'm in Canada now, and and then if the poop hits the fan here, I'll just go back to Portugal. Worst case scenario.
Nice, nice. My uncle's wife has land up in Azores.
Oh, that's where I'm gonna go, to San Miguel.
She, I guess her father passed away and left her the land.
You know what? Go see that land. Go fly there. You're gonna have a heart attack when when the plane lands. It's like New Zealand.
Beautiful.
It's like New Zealand times 4.
Wow.
Yeah, the Azores are really nice. They're very secluded islands off the coast of Africa. Their major export is pineapple.
Oh, nice, nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. So someone in the comment section is saying California is sinking. What do you think?
I believe that California, if you look at the footage from that video in San Francisco that you're talking about,
Yeah.
and every day what I see out here, it's pretty devastating to see a home in a neighborhood that is 1,300 square feet, the one that my mom lives in, and for it to be 1.2 million, it's like, how is that even affordable for anybody?
And that's yeah. Did you see that art? I don't know if you saw the article I read about tech workers, high paid tech workers, can't afford rent.
Oh yeah, I heard about that one as well, especially in San Francisco.
Yeah, yeah. How far are you from San Francisco? An hour, 40 minutes?
Yep, about 1 hour with traffic.
Okay, and then 30, 40 minutes at 2 in the morning?
Oh yeah, you can get there in like 40 minutes going the speed limit 65 or 70.
Okay. Good.
It's nice. My uncle, he's paying, he has rent control, so his neighbors are paying $3,500 a month for a 1-bedroom, Mike.
That's like $4,000 Canadian.
Only paying 14.
And what do the renters do? What do? Did they work for NASA?
I don't know, but NASA's out here in Mountain View, which is a 30-minute drive from where I live.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. But I mean, they're paying $3,500 a month for rent. Well, for a 1-bedroom, what are they doing?
I don't know. It's crazy. It's just it's astronomical. I guess they're working for the tech companies out there. The Twitters in San Francisco. I think Uber's in San Francisco as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So they do have. I mean, there's a lot of money out here in the Silicon Valley right now. So.
That's good to know. It's good to hear that there's some sort of life out there still, eh?
Oh yeah, and if you go to this place called Milpitas, which is where my girlfriend works, there's huge sprawlings of condos and apartments, and there's a huge Indian community moving in there as well.
Wow. So
it's just like 5 years ago, nothing was there like that. It was just all kind of land, and now everything is sprawled up, and it's all the tech workers and all the Indians, because there's a light rail system that they could take, and there's jobs like Cisco, a bunch of computer jobs. And it's insane. It's for someone like me, born and raised here. It's kind of sad to see that you're gonna get outpriced.
Yeah, the American proper, or the Americans born and raised and contributed their whole lifetimes to building the infrastructure, are left out of the picture.
Yes, and it's like make way for the new jobs and people that are coming in, and I can't hate on that. It's like, hey, if they got their education and they're working their asses off, much respect, but it's just at the same time, it's sad for people like me, especially, because that's not where my heart is. It's not in the technology, like Cisco and Apple and stuff. I do like using computers, of course, but it's not my career choice. I like music, comedy, and videos, vlogs, and stuff. So,
Well, do you have a YouTube channel?
yeah, it's actually the Demise Music and Entertainment channel.
Okay, when you comment on there later, I'm going to continue with the show. I want you to comment in there, and then I'm going to tell everyone when you comment on my comments there, I'm going to let everyone to subscribe to your channel.
Oh, thank you so much. I have a bunch of stuff, music, stand-up comedy.
Good.
I'll be going up tonight at 10 o'clock p.m. doing stand-up, and then I'll have that video uploaded tomorrow morning. So.
Oh, I'll subscribe to you the second you put up that link, okay?
Oh, thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Oh, well, not the link. When you comment, I'll just click on your face, and then I'll...
Here.
Yeah.
Let me do it right now.
Okay, let's open up your...
I just put "hey" at the bottom.
Yeah, there you are.
Picture of my face right there.
Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add you as a moderator for my channel. And then second thing I'm going to do is... I want to open this link, put it up here for everyone to see.
Thank you.
Here it is here. Oh, wow, it's a nice page. Wow, you look pretty cool, dude.
Oh, thank you. I've been working on it for a long time, and I take it seriously,
Well, people need to laugh, right?
Yes.
And people, wow, there's some pretty cool stuff here. There's you playing the drums.
Yeah, me playing the drums.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's good, guys. So don't forget to subscribe to his channel. Do more of these vlogs. You see how you're driving here?
Yes.
Do more driving vlogs. Do more walking around town vlogs. People like to see people walking around their town.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. People want to get more in depth behind the scenes, I think. And I've been doing that for a long time, and I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers now. And once I get up there, I think that I'll just keep growing it, staying authentic, staying just true to myself,
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Be true to yourself, because if you can't be true to yourself, how can you love anybody else, right?
Exactly. And that's what I noticed with you, Mike. I see your videos. The video where the two ladies walked in, and they're like, oh, and you're like, the Filipino market's over there. And then, like, that type of stuff, you just kind of let it flow, and you don't stop the camera. You just kind of let it go. So I see that as authenticity, because you can still hold the conversation.
Oh, for sure.
It's genuine. It's more genuine.
For sure. Okay, bud. Well, I'm going to let you go now, and we will keep in touch. And, guys, don't forget to subscribe to his channel. I'm going to continue with the show now, and I'm going to get some more people in on the phone.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye. So he'll be up tonight doing a live, his live stand-up tonight. It'll be uploaded here to his channel. So, guys, please check out his channel. Seems like an upstanding guy. And let's continue where I left off. Fraser Valley Homes. Okay, rates go up in October. Bank of Canada holds rates at 1.5. We know that already. Google page randomly open. Okay, let's kick off Australia now, guys. Australian home prices slide worsens as Melbourne leads real estate fall. Let's see if I could get my Australian guy here on the phone. Let's see what he has to say about this and about them. I haven't talked to him since they raised interest rates. So let me see if he's still, if he's around. Let me see if I can get him on the phone here. Yeah, let's see. My buddy here, Fred Hamilton. Let's see if he's... I know it's lunchtime there. I'm not sure if he's available, because it's Australia. Let's see if he picks up down in Australia, down under, to give us a little bit of understanding on what's happening here. Sydney right there. Because he's not answering. The last conversation that we had, he said that interest rates were not going to go up, and then a few days later, one of the major banks there raised interest rates in Australia, and a couple of others soon followed suit. Australian home prices slide worsens. Melbourne leads the real estate fall. Australia's housing downturn is getting worse, with more expensive end of the market in Melbourne and Sydney leading the declines. CoreLogic's monthly home price index shows a national capital city fall of 0.4% during August, with prices down 1.2% over the past 3 months, nearly 3% over the past year. Melbourne is now leading the declines with a 2% fall over the past 3 months, although Sydney's 5.6% annual decline is still the worst over the past year. So guys, especially with interest-only mortgages, they're in a lot of trouble right now. So there's the Sydney CBD, and then you got North Sydney, and then you got all these other places, Inner West, you got all these other little places, Northern Beaches up here. So interest rates, so there's a 12-month change in dwelling values. CoreLogic's head of research, Tim Lawless, said that there were a range of factors that had slowed the housing market, foremost of which is tighter credit environment. So remember, stress testing mortgages, they did it in Vancouver, then they moved it over to Toronto, then now they did it in Auckland, New Zealand, now they did it in Australia, now they did it in London, then they loosened it a bit in London, they kind of loosened back in London because nobody was borrowing, and then now they got to tighten it back. So collective factors have been compounded: affordability challenges, reduction foreign investment, and rise in housing supply. So less and less money's coming out of China right now, with a strap down, a lockdown on their capital outflows. Here's the house pricing index. Oh man, look at all this. There's Canberra, and then there's, wow. So there's Melbourne right there. There's Sydney and Brisbane. And then Adelaide, obviously, and Darwin. Where's Hobart? Hobart's not here. Hobart will be up here, too, on the right side, because it's very inexpensive to live there still. Pricey properties hit the hardest in downturn. It is the most expensive end of the market being hardest hit, with a 5.4% fall in prices for most of the expensive quarter of the capital city properties, while those in the middle 50% of the market fell 0.5%. At the bottom quarter actually rose 0.6%. The disconnect is starker in Melbourne, where the top quarter of properties is down 5.2%. That's huge, guys. Remember, a lot of the luxury and higher end markets start getting hit first, and then everything starts to crumble, and everything starts to fall apart, while the bottom quarter has risen 6% over the past year. CoreLogic's head of Australian research, Cameron Cusher, said that is partly due to the much higher, tighter access to mortgage credit, also common market dynamic. That's kind of typical of what you do see in a downturn, he told ABC News. That's the trend we saw in 2008 downturn. It's a trend we've seen historically in a number of downturns. I think also the lower end of the market is being supported by those incentives that were out there for first home buyers. I just spoke to our guy from Silicon Valley on the phone, and he was thinking about those first time home buyer loans. Yeah, and then you have to pay interest later, and if you don't pay it off within so many years, there's too much Mickey Mouse behind it. You got to really sit down and actually acknowledge every word on that paper as best as possible. Raising rates dampened the outlook for spring sales. We're hitting the spring market in Australia, New Zealand. It's springtime. This week is kicking off spring in the southern hemisphere, and with more inventory coming on the markets. Woo! And Steve the Plumber will give him a call right now when I'm done this article here. CoreLogic's analysts are not expecting improvement of the market sellers during the peak spring sales period, even more so after Westpac became a major bank to lift interest rates out of cycle for owner-occupiers. It was Westpac, the big W. They raised the rates, and then everybody's following suit. The bank's got to borrow the money. The bank's got to borrow the money to lend it to you. The bank's the middleman. The news, that's the first of the 4 big banks, and that's very ironic because it's a few days right after I spoke to that gentleman from, what's his name, Fred Hamilton from the Sydney area, and he told me that they're not going to raise rates in Australia. Boom, 4 days later, they raise interest rates. It's not a lot, but it's $30 to $50 to $100 per mortgage per month. Per mortgage, right? September is likely to send a chill through the housing market, said Mr. Lawless. With households' debt at high records, borrowers are likely to be sensitive to small movements in the cost of debt. This upward shift in mortgage rates is a negative for housing market conditions. The other factor making borrowers more sensitive to rate increases is the very low level of mortgage interest rates. Westpac's 14 basis point increase in interest rates is a 3.1% rise in monthly mortgage. Repayments at the current average discount variable rate at 4.5%, but it would only have been a 2% rise in repayments back in 2011, if you guys remember that, when rates were around 7 points. So if you're borrowing $1 million, you're paying $70,000 a year. If you borrow $500,000, you're paying $35,000 a year at 7 points. That's VIG. That's VIG. That's vigorish. That's what you call VIG. That's underjuice. That's like mafia style 7%. The rise in rates, tighter access to finance, a lack of investors, and cautious buyers mean that property sellers need to lower their expectations, according to Mr. Kusher. For sellers, they really need to be very realistic about the market and set appropriate prices for the market, which means not only prices they would have set 12 to 18 months ago, he said. For potential buyers, you don't really need to be in a hurry in this market. There's a lot to choose from, and there's much competition out. There's not as much competition out in the market. Be aware that the cost of housing is falling. So if you hold off, you might be able to get that property or a similar property at a lower price point a little bit further down the track. So guys, keep your eyes peeled, especially for the gentleman I spoke to down in Silicon Valley looking to buy in the market. Hold back, buddy. You're still young. You have a lot of life ahead of you. You have a lot of life. Relax. The houses aren't going to get up and go to the moon. They're going to stay here on Earth. Nothing. Relax. Okay, so now that I read that Australian article, I want to jump over here real quick. Australian property boom ends as credit squeeze begins. Very important article. Thousands of borrowers are experiencing a credit squeeze, which has abruptly ended Australia's housing boom and could pose a risk to the world's most successful economies, built off housing and student loans and whatever other, and credit cards and lines of credits in HELOCs. That's a great economy, eh? Break out the champagne. I got pre-approved for a mortgage last year, but couldn't find the house we could afford before it lapsed, said the mother of 2 who wanted to move from her Sydney apartment into a house. Price is falling, but now my bank will only agree to a mortgage at $170,000 Australian dollars, less than the level agreed last year, so we're stuck. Hey, look what's happening here. Australian household debt. Australia, hey, takes the cake for it, buddy. Takes the cake for it. Pop out the, hey, you're number 1 at something. Look at that. Household debt. Followed closely by Canada. I shouldn't talk. And then South Korea is coming out of nowhere. I think South Korea has been at long time low rates for the last, I think since 2010 they dropped rates. In 2011 they historically low rates in South Korea. I gotta check what the Seoul market was, but I could check. UK, it's kind of tapering off, and the United States of America looks like it's dipped a bit, and then you got France, which is climbing big time. Secondary mortgages and credit card and lines of credit in France are out of control. And Japan is declining, so Japan is slowly getting out of household debt. Capital economists forecast that that house prices in Australia would fall 12% over 4 years, which would likely cause a softer economic growth. Yeah, middle class isn't borrowing. Christmas. When you stop buying your Christmas gifts around Christmas time, a lot of those companies suffer. A lot of people suffer down the road. You know what I'm saying? Right here. I just said it. Some businesses are concerned. On Wednesday, chairman of the waste farmers, the retailing industries conglomerate, warned falling house prices could fall 20% and drag Australia into a recession with negative implications for retailers. Hello! Middle consumer class stops. People in the middle class in consumer spending, they start losing faith in the market. They want to start saving. They don't want to spend money frivolously. They want to save as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? Oh, here we go. 4 in 10 mortgages, not one. 4 in 10 mortgages were all interest only at the peak of the boom, according to the central bank. Get everybody in. Yeah, just pay the mortgage. Just pay the interest payment on $1 million. Hey, man, that's like $5,000 a year to service. You could do that on $1 million. $5,000 a year, service $1 million. That's free money. Yeah. Now interest rates are going to go up. You know, $10,000 a year. Sorry, $10,000 a year. That's like $1,000 a month. You could service $1 million mortgage interest only. That's the way to go. Yeah, but now these houses didn't get paid down in the last 4 to 5 years, and they still owe exactly what they bought the house for. You're looking at a hard time right now. And then since the regulators have tamed the rapid growth in credit by forcing banks to restrict investor lending. Ooh, Canada did it 8 months before they did. Ooh, we got to start doing this stress testing, making sure we know who's qualified. You know what I'm saying? The rising cost of offshore funding for banks due to rising interest rates overseas is eating up into the profit margins of institutions, which rely on home loans for 2/3 of their loan books. Last week, Westpac hiked mortgages rates even though the Reserve Bank of Australia kept official rates on hold at a record low of 1.5% for 25 months. Historic lows. Other banks were likely to follow. There you go. Australian housing finance, value of monthly mortgage approvals. Everything's starting to dip. Total homeowner. Well, the scary part is owner occupied homes. When those start to dip, and they're not refinancing people that already own their homes. I've seen that. Moneyman says, breaking news, Vancouver price drops, lower resist. I read those articles at the beginning of the show. They're right here at the beginning. Right here, Canadian money giant grinds to a halt. And then I read Canada's interest rate hike may be setting up major economic thing. And then Metro Vancouver home prices edge lower to 2 straight months. And then I read Vancouver housing sales hit 6-year low in August, and housing affordability worsens for 12 straight months. So that's what I wanted to say. So this is a really good article, guys. It's a very good. It goes into unemployment. There's the RBA playing down fears. As usual, RBA is always going to play down people's fears. Royal Bank of Australia. It's always going to be there to massage you, to make you feel better. Don't worry, you owe $1 million, $800,000. I know the house is realistically worth in a real market $400,000 because that's all you could really afford if interest rates are a normal 5%. In a normal market, 5% is a normal rate, right? And buy, invest, or sell, experts weigh in on Sydney's cooling property markets. So let me just go really quick and read this, and we could leave the plumber on here. I'm going to read a bit of it at the beginning because it's a really good article, and we could wrap up a bit of this here. The cranes filling Sydney skyline should be enough to prompt investors to consider selling up and tapping out of the city's cooling property market, according to the leading economists. Remember, for the longest time, supply and demand, we need to put more build. We need to put more on the market because there's not enough supply. The second we put more on the market, then it will trickle down prices and everyone could afford to buy. Was that the biggest mistake ever? And I was saying this 2-3 years ago. It's not a supply and demand issue. It's an affordability issue. So now with all these projects breaking ground right now in Sydney, once you start throwing that on year over year, all the projects that are scheduled for the next 5 years, what's going to happen then? With a huge increase in supply set to come onto the markets at a time of tightening bank lending standards, and sensible investors should be weighing up their options, according to AMP Capital Chief Economist and Investment Strategy Shane Oliver. If I was an investor, I'd be tempted to get out, Dr. Oliver told Domain, particularly in there are cranes all over the place. Guys, listen to me. This is a big deal right now. This is hitting. They're putting way too much on the market, and the sustainability, it's going to start dropping prices. Rents are going down right now in Sydney. Month over month, rents are going down. Everyone's leaving the big cities. They're sick and tired of paying for too much for nothing. What are you paying for? Nothing. So that's what's happening right now in Australia. Get out if you can. Or start managing something, because rates will go up again. Q1, Australia. Q1, if they have a flat housing market this spring, it's springtime right now in Australia. If they have a flat housing market, I could bet you every dime to a dollar. I bet you a dime to a dollar. I'll bet you 100 to 1. They're going to have to raise rates come after Q1 in March. I bet you 100 to 1 that's what's going to happen in favor of. Anyways, okay, Steve, I don't know if you could hear me, but if you're there, if you could call me, I'd appreciate it if you call me. Steve the Plumber, 2-time world champ. He's a 2-time world champ. Hopefully I get him on the show here. Let me see if I can find him. I'm not sure what landline he's going to call me off, so I'm going to let him call me. So go ahead, Steve. Call me right now. Oh, he's saying to give him 2 minutes. Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes. Buy, invest, or sell. Exports weigh in on Sydney's cooling property market. If you're an investor, get the hell out. With the amount of properties coming on the market, I have a feeling, guys, in 2-3 years, in a year and a half maybe, I could go down, I could fly into Australia, to Sydney, if I'm even welcome there, and I could probably pick up an apartment for next to nothing, just like it was in Miami back in 2007, 2008. You could pick up a 2-bedroom condo for 20 grand when the markets crashed. Like I said, look, rental vacancies on the rise in Sydney as house prices keep falling. I can't read this because you have to pay them $100 a month to subscribe to this thing, so I'm not going to subscribe to it. As the Irish Times, Dublin's housing market not ripe yet for a crash. And Dublin prices have increased 72.9% in stock. That's a lot of... So I have to subscribe to this too. Not going to happen. Lots of free news out there. Ooh, Auckland. There's an Auckland story there I got. There's an interest.co.co. Check out this guy. He's really good down in New Zealand. That follows the markets there. Who else do I got here? Slower growth in housing market through winter, reflecting lower Auckland prices. They're always trying to find a reason why prices are down. And London housing. Okay, let's close some windows here. There's Mario DeSetti's The Lost Canuck. Don't forget to check him out, please. And Canadian mortgage credit growth grinds to a halt. I'll leave that up if Steve calls. And then this one here, I'm going to do this here. I'm going to get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. I have too many open pages here. Don't forget to check out Demise Music and Entertainment. He was on the show from... he'll be our eyes and ears in Silicon Valley. I'll even get him to make some videos, and if he doesn't want to upload them on his channel, I could rip him and put him on my channel. If he doesn't want to get in trouble. People could get in trouble with work and stuff doing this kind of stuff, right? And then Dylan Lopez says that tower looks nice at night. Are you talking about this one, Dylan? Where'd it go? That one. Yeah, Auckland. Yeah, I gotta go visit Auckland. I gotta get in there. I gotta get in there sometime. Someone's saying call Form a Fist. Yeah, you know what? I'll have him on the show soon. I'll have him on the show soon. I'll have him on. I'll have Form a Fist on. I have to... I don't know what he's been up to. I know he's running for mayor in his district. And I'm running for city councilor in my district. So we'll see what happens with that. It'll be very interesting to see. I hope I get in. I hope I get in to help make a change. I hope I get in. Be nice. So Bank of Canada holds, guys. That's on the news today. It's all over the news. Bank of Canada holds 1.5. Someone asked a good... Oh, Steve the plumber. Steve.
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
Nada. Quick question before you kick off. Do you see... Somebody asked a question in the comment section. It was a really good question. And they asked, now that NAFTA is on the rocks, do we see a rate hike come October?
The short answer is, well, it's black and white. If we don't have a NAFTA deal, it's going to be very, very, very hard for Stephen Poulos to raise interest rates simply due to the fact that without NAFTA, NAFTA comes tariffs, and we'd be in an immediate recession if we're not already in one, currently speaking, right this second.
All right. Do me a favor and don't panic. We're in a recession right now.
I firmly believe we are in a recession. Not starting to go into one, but I think we are in one. I'm seeing it right, left, and center in various markets. Construction is down 35-40%, and I'm not just saying that. Guys like Mario can confirm that, and other people that are in the trades can confirm that. There's a number of issues that are at stake right now that are basically flashing red to support that we are contracting as an economy, especially with respect to jobs.
So what are the job cuts? You want to mention any job cuts going around right now?
Oh, there's a lot of job cuts going on right now. Excuse me. A lot of manufacturing or whatever was left is leaving for either the U.S. or something recently. There's a parts manufacturer, and I spoke to you about this, Mike, on the telephone. Parts manufacturer, they supply different components to Boeing, and it's actually funny. There's Mexican people over here in Canada learning the process and the procedures with respect to the job, and in about a month's time, those Mexican employees are going back to Mexico. The Canadian employees are without a job and get their walking papers, and that job that was here is now going to Mexico. Mm-hmm. And the difference is $28 an hour Canadian here, or $3 to $4 an hour, in terms of Mexican pesos.
Yeah, that's like 60 or 70 pesos an hour.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there are some dark days ahead, and I think people are starting to realize that.
Okay. Let me ask you what. Can you please tell us the bank story?
Which one?
The one where you were over-listening somebody in one of the lending rooms.
I didn't have to over-listen, Mike. He was furious. Bank. Yeah. He went in to speak to the mortgage person that he renewed his mortgage with. I presume within the last year, give or take. And the branch manager was involved as well. And he was losing his mind. He basically, the bank took his house. And he went from screaming and shouting to crying like a schoolgirl.
Wow. And what was he saying? Like you said, he was saying things. I don't know.
He was basically going on about, you guys caused this. You lent me all this money. I didn't realize I couldn't afford it after, income tax and all this other stuff. Things come up. There was no cushion, no buffer. I'm in a really, really tough spot. And I've lost my house, my kids' clothes and shoes. They have to start school. How dare you do this to me?
Oh, that's got to be really taxing on the family. it's got to be really taxing on the kids too.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult, and I don't wish that on anybody. But this is happening right, left, and center. And it's funny how the media itself, they're not reporting on this, and they have to. The numbers are there. They're starting to come in slowly but surely. There's got to be a good 2 months, if not closer now to 3 months worth of data in terms of even if you classify it as strategized sampling within the numbers, they know how many loans are defaulting. They know how many loans are going to default. They see the writing on the wall.
Steve, I want to tell you something. Through an underwriter perspective, a good underwriter and a good branch manager could look at a deal, not the lender, the lenders are just mouthpieces, but a good underwriter at one of the head offices could look at a deal and could tell if it's going to fall apart within 6 months. They could tell. They'll know it's going to break and frail or fall apart in 6 months. Steve, my question to you is, why would they allow deals to go through that they know will fall apart in 6 months? They're not helping the customer at all. Why are they ruining people's lives, plain and simple?
Well, this was his whole thought process and his complaint. And I guess it's one of those things where there are guidelines and policies and procedures and thresholds. And I haven't seen it like you have from an underwriting standpoint or a lending officer standpoint, so to speak. But I've spoken to a lending officer, and there are strict guidelines. And unless it's over a certain amount, that's when they really, really start to peel back the layers. And I'm talking about big multi-million-dollar homes or big commercial building acquisitions. Then they start to really, really look at all the finances and receivables and, trying to control the risk. If Mr. and Mrs. Smith meet the criteria for the purposes of lending out $1 million and, they can check off box A, B, C, and D, then you know what? Guess what? That computer says go, and it flashes green.
Well, I'm talking about when the loan or the deal gets underwritten by the lender and gets sent to the underwriter, and then the underwriter looks at the deal. A good underwriter, for example, I could look at a deal. I could not only the credit score. I could look at the credit score. I could look for gaps on file and all the inquiries. That's fine. But then looking at the deal itself and looking at the employment level, looking at the consistency in employment, looking at how much money they have left over when you calculate their needs and analysis. Once you find out someone's needs and analysis, you could discover how much money they have left over for food after they pay their bills. And a lot of people and a lot of good underwriters could look at that and say, this guy's going to default in 6 months, but I'm still going to prove it. Like, what the hell?
Well, I think we have a very broken system for starters, and I understand where you're coming from, and it does make perfect sense. However, if you look at the big picture, and if everybody was put under the microscope, and an actual human being went ahead and looked at every single deal, every single mortgage that was put through, and not only looked at the guidelines, but peeled back the layers and said, okay, Mr. Smith works here. He's been there for 6 years. He's making X amount of dollars. I'm going to take it, go on the basis that unless he gets some sort of, a promotion or something, he's not going to make any more money than he already is. Now I'm going to go ahead and I checked out Mr. and Mrs., or Mr. Smith as the primary breadwinner here. Now I want to go and check out his actual employer. If they started checking out these employers and started doing further background checks, the amount of time and effort it took would be astronomical. But even if they had the resources to do that, Mike, I'm of the opinion that 80% of mortgages would not be issued.
Oh, 1,000,000%. And that's what I've been talking about. All the garbage they're putting on the books. And I know, and I've seen and I've heard of people making up fake pay stubs, the lenders themselves making up fake pay stubs to be able to make the deal fit.
Oh, absolutely. Mortgage brokers, for sure. There's piles of corrupt mortgage brokers. The law can let you know on that.
Yeah. So So now let me ask you. What was I going to ask? I was going to ask you another big question here. So we talked about the guy at the bank that was freaking out. Oh yeah, let me ask you the same question I asked the Lost Canuck. When is the media gonna start calling a spade and start calling it like it is? Because right now it's embarrassing to watch the news and listen to what those people are telling you. It's probably the most embarrassing thing because they look like they either came from another planet or they just woke up from a coma from 10 years ago. When is the media going to call a spade a spade?
Well, somebody asked me that question the other day, and they said to me, Steve, if you think you're right, and all signs point that you're right, with the data that's available, or, you can speculate on the data. Let's say we're all half right, Mike, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're a bunch of half right dummies. We know nothing, but half of what we say on your show, or whether, I call Mario or you or anybody for that fact, let's say we're half right. We're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
A lot of trouble.
I think even if we're 10% right, we're in trouble.
That's just it. I mean, we can peel it back to the point of no return.
Mm-hmm.
That said, it took the Toronto Star approximately 2 years, maybe even a little bit longer,
Mm-hmm.
to admit that the real estate market was in the tank and we're in a recession
Mm-hmm.
in 1993, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
1993. And if memory serves me correct, that's when Trudeau went nuts and raised interest rates, correct?
1993?
No, 89, 90, 91. Interest rates went through the roof.
Yeah, 89, 90, 91. But it wasn't Trudeau. It was who was in power 89, 90. Wasn't it Brian Mulroney?
Sorry, it was Mulroney. My apologies.
Yeah.
You are right.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, I got mixed up there. That said, we have the internet, which is a very, very powerful tool.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope it doesn't take 3 years, but you know what? We're approaching year one, if not longer. And now the information is here. We have at least 1 full year's worth of information.
Yeah.
But then you have the biggest culprit, which is organized real estate.
Yeah.
And they will continue to pump the market with false, unreliable data till the cows come home. Talking about, seasonally adjusted numbers and, making sure their numbers come out right at the right time. All kinds of stuff. And organized real estate is the largest funder
Mm-hmm.
in terms of media itself. And that's a driving force. We have to remember that. Now, if we want to take that into consideration, brilliant. But the other thing we have to take into consideration is organized real estate, especially TREB. Mike, you're aware of the court order that they have.
Yes. They don't want to hear. The Supreme Court doesn't want to hear about it.
No, they don't. And they were ordered from this, the non-confidence or whatever the heck, not non-confidence. Forgive me, Mike. It wasn't the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
They brought it to the Supreme Court because, I'm drawing a blank here.
Yeah, because
Anyways,
they weren't disclosing information and people weren't aware of what was happening on the markets, and they wanted to hold that back for only the what do you call it? The real estate agents only to know and need to know basis, right? And
exactly.
Yeah.
So at that point, you have to realize how sick and twisted organized real estate is with respect to TREB. They're going to go against a court order, okay? And now they're actually going to abuse the process,
Mm-hmm.
okay, by way of civil litigation, and they're actually going to start suing people if they release that information. Their very own members.
Yeah. Wow.
That should tell everybody how messed up organized real estate is, including Jason Mercer, or whatever the heck his name is.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a crock. They're all crooks.
It's sad. Because you put your faith in the... Remember I talked about this. I made many videos about this. When you go get a haircut, you go see your barber, you give him $30 to cut your hair or $20. You're giving him, you're putting $20 in his hand, and you're putting faith in him to cut your hair because you can't do it yourself, right?
Right.
So people do that with real estate agents and used car salesmen, and look what happens.
Well, that's exactly right. And I think, if you look at the big picture, anybody that listens to organized real estate to predict their future of making the largest investment that one will ever make has to be a complete fool if they believe the Toronto Real Estate Board. I'm not talking about, I am not talking about all real estate boards. I'm sure everyone has their own thoughts and opinions. But TREB as a whole is a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
It is toxic.
Okay. I wanted to ask you something else. It's kind of important. What was it again? Hold on. I want to talk about real quickly here about, I want to talk about something here real quick. Do you remember that article, or that wasn't even an article. I was laughing my butt off, and I couldn't stop laughing about that guy in Vancouver that was going, if you don't buy now, you'll never own. If you don't own, you'll completely forever be bought in the market, and this and that. You gotta buy now, or you'll never own. Remember that guy?
Absolutely.
I couldn't stop laughing my butt off. Remember, I was reading off I was reading the transcript off, right? Because I don't want to get sued, right? God forbid, right? Somebody tells the truth. And I'm reading, I couldn't stop laughing. This guy, look at this guy, he's saying if you don't buy now and this and this and that, oh my God. And you know what the sad part is, Steve? People fall for this crap.
They absolutely do. But now, look what's happening to Vancouver.
Yeah.
And Toronto will mirror. The same thing will happen. They will follow suit. And I'm not sure if you realize this or not, but Moneyman is in the comments. And Moneyman, I know you're listening. So whatever your source was approximately 40 to 50 minutes ago about something released, I want to go back in the comment section. Mm-hmm. Mike, you gotta pull this up, because I think I'd love to see what this guy's saying or reporting on. So it's
okay.
It was actually quite good.
Okay, before we kick off Money Man, I just want to put up a comment. I want to read out a comment from Belinda Mercer. Banks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Banks do not care. They have a lender forced insurance. I think it's a big insurance scam by the banks in cahoots with the insurance companies. Might as well call it a bet. That's a really good comment.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree where she's coming from. I think it is very much a scam, and I bet you half the people don't even realize when they go to CMHC and they take an insured mortgage with not having 20% down, and you have to get an insured mortgage, so on and so forth. I bet you half the people, and I know I've spoken to some people, and they're very naive. I don't want to call them stupid or dumb. They're very, very naive. Mike, there are some people out there that actually think they're buying this insurance
for themselves
for a rainy day in the event that they poop the bed and they default on their mortgage. Yeah. That insurance is not for them. That is insurance for the lender.
Mm-hmm. Of course, it's for the lender. They're paying out this insurance for the lender. They're not paying it for themselves. Yeah. They don't know that.
So what happens is the insurance company says, okay, that's fine. Mr. Smith, you defaulted. We're going to pay out the lender, which is fine. Not an issue. Now we're coming after you.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Yes. And you know what? If you don't have any money to go ahead and pay your mortgage, you sure as hell don't have any money to hire a rabbi, meaning a lawyer. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to take you to court, and I'm going to get a judgment, and you are not going to own anything for 20 or 25 years.
Well,
if you do, I'm going to attach to it and take it.
You might as well move to Costa Rica then.
Absolutely. This way, the only people that can take your property is the government.
That's right. Now, I got a comment here. I think Money Man is commenting on this comment here. I read it already earlier in the show. I think it came in later in the show. It's Canadian mortgage credit growth grinds to a halt. Worst growth in 18 years. So mortgage credit growth grinds to a halt. It's a big deal. Canada owes $1.52 trillion in mortgage debt. So 1.52 trillion. I think Canada's country debt is $3 trillion. So we're almost with the HELOCs. I think with HELOCs, credit card debt, student loans, and mortgage debt, I think Canada's debt level is right at that. At the.
You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if you want to combine everything as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. That number is that is pretty crazy. And my hat's off to Kevin Thompson for admitting tonight that he's starting to see a reduction or a decline in house prices, with directly correlated to what he owns. It's happening everywhere, and it's we've been talking about this so long, and now it's starting to come to fruition. So getting back to your original comment, Mike, one of your original comments, when is the media going to start releasing this stuff? And I think it's going to be when they have no choice, when they have absolutely no choice, and the unemployment numbers go through the roof, and basically people start to be homeless.
Yeah. That's when we hit depression. So this is how I see it. You know how I make up words like Canadian proper, American, or Australian proper are people that pay taxes and contribute to the infrastructure and that are there to make the country better. You know how I make up words all the time, right? So what about, this is what I believe. You won't find this in a book because it doesn't exist. Right now, we are in a recession. A recession is, I think we're in a soft mode recession that they're doing a really good job covering it. And I think from a recession, we hit depression. But people are like, Mike, what the hell are you talking about? Those are two different things. The depression happened in the 1930s. No, this is what I believe. You have a recession, and then when it gets to a depression means when you start seeing middle-class people becoming homeless. That's when you hit depression levels. When you start seeing...
Yeah, I guess that would be a form of... Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because people say, we don't call it depression anymore. It's not a Great Depression anymore. No, it was a Great Depression back in the day because people's furniture was out in the sidewalk.
Yeah, we're also not supposed to call mankind. It's people kind. Well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's people Toba. It's not Manitoba. It's people Toba.
Yeah, it's crazy. Wanted to also reach out and ask you this, Mike. Did you read or hear that Better Dwelling article where 1 in 4
I did.
houses on the market
are empty? Yep, 1 in 4 houses empty. And that's investment properties. Now, the investment properties are getting thrown on the market with the existing houses being thrown on the market. Guess what happens? It creates a surplus of houses. And, Steve, whatever happened to supply versus demand issue? We need to build more.
Yeah, the last thing we need to do is build any more.
Yeah, but what happened to that? How many articles did I read from London, from Ireland, from Canada, from Vancouver, Toronto, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, wherever? They need to build more. Build more. Now, you got 5 years of projects that are now backlogged. Cranes, remember I read that article in Sydney, 1 million cranes in Sydney Harbor, all over the place. The skyline's filled with cranes and construction. You know how many people are going to start walking away from deposits, Steve? You have no idea.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. I would love to know how many people are anticipated to walk away from deposits. Mario has been all over that, the Lost Canuck. I know 3 people as of late have walked away from deposits, obviously under their advice of their lawyer, and we'll see where things kind of sort of happen. it's going to be a rough ride for very many people, and I'm a firm believer that this is going to end badly for so many people and end in tears. It already started.
So, yeah, I'm just thinking about all those people out there that trusted their banks like they trust their barber. I really, if I had hair, and I give somebody $20-$30 to cut my hair, I'm giving my faith to them, and I'm trusting them to cut my hair. But everyone's trusting their bank lender and their mortgage broker like they do their hairdresser or their barber, and that can't be the same. They can't be on the same levels.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So, Mike, let me spin it around. Do you think interest rates are going to go up? Obviously.
Oh,
The BOC held rates as of today. Do you think they're going up in October?
you know what? They were holding back on NAFTA agreements, and I don't think we're going to get anything done with Trudeau in office with NAFTA. So I think what's going to happen is there's a few things. Either Canada's going to have to strap down and prepare for a depression, because we're in a recession right now. Because, Steve, if you're working, you have to work a full-time job and a part-time job just to cover your rent. That's depressing, buddy. You know what I'm saying? So that's not a good sign, and consumer spending goes down, and productivity goes down, exports go down, imports are going to probably go down, everything's going to be down, consuming goes down. And remember the article I read from Better Dwelling here? It was about the amount of cash value people have now, and what to spending power they have is completely gone now.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at the mortgage right here. And mortgage growth is going to head lower. Less homes are going to change hands. Buddy, it's an outright perfect storm. I mean, it's got the perfect ingredients for the big kahuna. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I absolutely agree. I think it's truly an unfortunate set of circumstances if you put all the pieces together, and at times it can be a little depressing to talk about. But I mean, the numbers are the numbers. Facts don't lie. Just because somebody hasn't officially gone on the media and put it all together doesn't mean that it's not there. It's not directly available for people to look at. Now, a lot of people turn a blind eye and say, that's not going to happen, so on and so forth. But you touched on Trudeau.
Mm-hmm.
And Trudeau has gone on the record, and he has openly said, a bad NAFTA deal, or basically a no deal with respect to NAFTA is better than a bad NAFTA deal.
That's true. Do you think we can get anything done with Trudeau?
I don't think he's qualified. In actual fact, saying otherwise, evidence to the contrary, there is nothing. A drama teacher is not qualified to run the country. A drama teacher is not qualified to run the largest business in Canada. And surely a drama teacher is not qualified to cultivate enough talent to go and try to negotiate a NAFTA deal with Donald Trump.
I understand. I know where this is going, and I never thought of it through the drama teacher aspect. I never thought of it like that. And now that you put it into that perspective, it starts to make a bit of sense. Man, heck, I'm pretty sure if I sat down with Donald Trump for a couple of hours, we could actually negotiate something out. Look at the derivatives. Look at buy now, pay laters. Just look at surpluses. Look at where we could both save money. You know what I'm saying?
I wholeheartedly agree with you, Mike. The fact that you're a businessman and a very successful businessman, you are more qualified to run the country than our current prime minister. And if that doesn't listen to this or not, okay, there's something seriously wrong. Very, very, very wrong. And exactly what Stephen Harper said was going to happen, verbatim. And he went, instance by instance, line item by line item. If Trudeau gets in, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. It all came to fruition. It all came to fruition.
Now I need to ask you something a bit off topic, and it's kind of important. Are you gonna? I'm not gonna ask you how you're gonna vote, but are you supporting Faith Goldie?
I am supporting Faith Goldie simply due to the fact that we need a change.
Yeah.
We need somebody that is going to do something for the good. I don't know that she is qualified any more than our current municipal leader in Toronto, our mayor. Our mayor just doesn't get it, and we've become a bunch of bleeding hearts. You've taken away carding. You've taken away the tips and the tricks of the trade in terms of policing. And I mean, I know some police officers that don't even want to go to work anymore. They don't feel safe. It's constantly becoming, it's all about covering your back. When you put on that uniform and you go out and you start to do, try to do some good police work. That said, it's weekly, sometimes daily, we have shootings in Toronto.
Yeah. It's becoming the new New York or new Chicago.
Absolutely. But my argument is, if you want to look at some gun states and everything else, and people won't go to these gun states, I could never live in the state, so on and so forth. I would rather live in the state than have the option to bear arms and live my life on the basis that guy more than likely has a gun than live my life saying, I can't have a gun on me. And, that guy probably doesn't have a gun, but if he has a gun, he's going to shoot me and I'm dead.
Yeah, so you already lost the battle.
You've already lost the battle. You can't protect yourself. And I never thought this way until things started to get really, really, really bad in Toronto.
So I saw the Yorkdale shooting the other day. I had someone on the phone with me about that. Somebody that's running for a different district there in Ontario. In Toronto area. He's running for Downsview. I think it was Downview or Danforth. Or Downsview.
Yeah, Downsview. He's actually just on the other side of the highway. So that district is very close by.
Yeah, so he's he leans right and he leans to the right. One thing he told me spooked the crap out of me. And he told me that they're looking at ways, not him, he's not doing this. It's saying they've proposed, they're trying to, other parties, not him, are trying to propose a tax on the city. So you have your GST, your government sales tax, then your provincial sales tax, and then Toronto district tax.
Well, that would be the end of Toronto as we know it, because the only people that would actually be in Toronto would be upper middle class or the elite.
Yeah.
And the only way that they can stay like that is if they have people with less money under them. There's more to that story. That said, Toronto would become an absolute ghost town. And quite frankly, you don't have to look too far away. But, look at Chicago. Chicago is in serious financial trouble. In actual fact, I think Chicago is insolvent now. And the last time I was in Chicago, which was about a year ago, as soon as I got off the plane that day, they put the sugar tax in.
Oh.
And they put a few other taxes on or something to that effect. And it didn't work. It didn't work whatsoever, because if the city's broke, that usually is a good indication that the general population is broke.
Yeah.
And if they think that this tax is going to overcome the shortfall of the additional municipal land transfer tax that they aren't getting right because real estate is not moving in Toronto like it once was.
Yeah, because that was...
They have another thing coming. It's not going to work.
Well, because they used to put the grease on the wheels, right? That transfer tax was really good cake for a while, and then now that the banks held back on lending, and now the banks are on the hook for a lot of defrauded mortgages, and now you got all these stress testing going on, you got rates going up, you got the perfect storm. I'm talking about the storm of the century.
Yeah, it's been brewing for a while. And I think we're gonna see it happen real quick, real fast, and it's gonna be a house of cards, and it's just gonna come crashing down. And from an economic standpoint, especially if we don't get a deal on NAFTA, I would rather take a deal on NAFTA and see interest rates, go to 3% as an overnight lending rate from the BOC by the end of 2019.
Yeah.
And I'd rather see people lose their houses than see the entire economy collapse.
Yeah, because then we head into depression mode, right? Once the whole economy collapses, right? So there's nothing left. I mean, there's nothing left that you could go. There's no stock market. There's no housing market. There's no gold market. I mean, well, gold will go up. I think gold would rally. Oil would go up. Obviously, the stuff you can't keep in your pockets will go up, right?
That's true. I mean, are we ever going to go back to the gold standard? No, I don't think we'll ever go back.
Well,
they won't
allow that because then that will make us wealthy, right?
That's right. They'll basically, if everything does implode, and keep in mind, the U.S. is not doing very good. I don't care what anybody says. Look at the foreclosures that are happening right now. Look at the economy as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
The Federal Reserve did pump the brakes on raising interest rates to a certain degree, but they're at it again. They're just calling it a different, something different this time. And if it's going to continue to be this, this cycle where things are really bad, we need a reset, and then they start wiping all this up. It's never going to work.
No, it definitely is. They have to. The problem is we're not in a normal situation. We're not in a normal market situation. Whether it's the stock market, the price of gold is undervalued. The price of silver is severely undervalued. The price of housing is overvalued. The price of oil is kind of undervalued a bit. And that's why all these economies like Venezuela and all these countries are tanking, because the price of oil should be a bit higher than what it is, but it's undervalued. So we got a very unhealthy market we're on right now. And it's not normal. Nothing's normal. We've had these historically low rates for the longest time. And Australia is still, 24, 25 months, I read in the article, at 1.5% interest? So, I mean, people are crying. Once that W Bank there, the World Bank or whatever bank there, raised interest rates in Australia at, 0.15 basis points? And people are freaking out on that. And imagine if they have to raise it to a normal level. You know what I'm saying? If they raise interest rates, then our money has value again, It's no longer free money anymore. You know what I'm saying, Steve? Don't you want your bank account to pay you 4 or 5% interest yearly on your money?
Yes, I do, because I have some pretty decent deposits, and right now it's scary. It is absolutely scary, and boy, they need to increase the amount that's covered underneath Canadian deposit insurance, because $100K. Yeah, I don't sleep very well at night, Mike.
Well, no. And what does the bank insure you up to? 63,000 or 68?
It's 100,000.
Oh, they do 100,000 now?
Has been like that for a number of years. Yes.
Okay, because remember it was like 68,000 they insure you for if the bank defaults.
Yeah, so it's $100,000 per bank account.
Okay. Yeah, because but still, even if they were paying you 4.5% interest, that's still like $5-6 grand a year, right? In interest.
Absolutely.
Right? And $1 million, that's $45 grand a year. 50 large a year, you didn't have to work, right?
inevitable. They have to go up.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, our economy is going to start to, naturally retract even further than what it is. That said, it's plain and simple. Either we keep the bleeding going and we allow all these over-leveraged people to, just tread water, or we stop the bleeding, we raise interest rates, we let the people default, do what they need to do, get our reset button, and make sure we never get into this situation ever again. And rightfully so. As crazy as this sounds, if they did that and we came up with some good policies and procedures in terms of lending and everything else, we should never get this bad ever again, because the U.S. went through it. We're now going through it. The U.S. is now going through it again. How many times does a country, need to see that movie play out and see exactly what happens until they fix something and make sure it doesn't happen again?
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, it's a mere 10 years away, and people have already forgotten that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Someone just said in the comments that Unlost is his name. Will a reset button actually work? Yeah, it will work. But at the same point in time, is it a reset button and then we're just going to fall back into our old habits? I'm not sure. I know one thing's for sure. There are two organizations, one being banks and then the other being organized real estate, that really, really do not want a reset button because they're toast.
Yeah. When do you think a lot of those real estate agents that are out there saying, if you don't buy now, you'll never own? What are they gonna turn the tables and say, oh, come and buy now, everything's cheap?
Well, they could, but at the same point in time, they're going to have to weather the storm. And there's only so many Walmart greeter jobs available.
Yeah.
So, they are going to have to be able to pay their dues in order to sell real estate. Otherwise, forget about them suing you. They're just going to cut you. So if they're around in 6 months to a year from now, that will be it. But I don't know too many people that have, a good solid year's worth of reserves, put away, especially not glorified used car salesmen.
Yeah, for sure. But
a lot of people leaving the business, Mike.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people working at. I heard from somebody. I heard from a lady saying that her real estate agent now is working at a drive-through at Tim Hortons.
There you go. He hands you your coffee and his business card. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then Money Man saying craft dinner is in short supply right now.
Did he buy it all, or?
No, he's talking about that because then everyone goes on craft dinner now for 50 cents a box of craft, or $1 a box of craft dinner, right?
Well, then you know what? I better invest in craft dinner.
I like to invest in Chef Boyardee. Ravioli, Chef Boyardee, and spaghetti.
There you go.
That's better. I think that's got high in carbs, so you don't have to eat as much. You know what I'm saying?
I understand completely where you're coming from. So, Mike, what have you heard from what's going on in Vancouver? Because I want to know this from your opinion and other people that you've been talking to, because I am a firm believer, and there is data to support this, that Toronto follows suit on Vancouver's real estate market.
It was for a bit, and then Toronto is right now in a different pattern than Vancouver right now. Vancouver right now is still stagnant right now. So I'll go over some article cheat sheet here. I'll go over some cheat sheets with you, okay? Canadian mortgage credit growth grinds to a halt, worst growth in 18 years. Canada's minor interest rate hikes may be setting up major economic problems. This week's top stories: new condo sales plummet in Toronto, and Canada's HELOC problems is over 3 times worse than the U.S. Canada's HELOC problem is one of the biggest risks for real estate. Toronto sees new condo sale fall 52%, inventory spikes over 63%. Canada's fast-growing real estate prices aren't Toronto and Vancouver, and that goes back to last week's show, what we talked about. How a lot of people are moving to Prince Edward Island in Nova Scotia, Halifax, and Quebec. But Vancouver, right now, it's grinding. I have a Steve Saretsky article here I read earlier before you came on.
Yeah.
And it was really good. I was freaking out when I was reading it. Let me see here. Vancouver housing. Let me see if I could find the one I opened. It's by Steve Saretsky, the Globe and Mail. Vancouver housing hits 6-year low in August, right here. And then there's another one here by, I don't know if I see Steve here. But it's hit its low. And what else? Inventories outgoing sales. And right here, Metro Vancouver housing prices dropped for a second month straight. I read that one earlier. So that's 2 months. 1 month is a flash in the pan. 2 months is reality, and 3 months becomes a trend. And everything else follows that same trend. And Vancouver real estate starting to look like a disaster. Here, let's look at this by the Huffington Post. Vancouver real estate is starting to look like a disaster. Let me see if they have a graph here for us to look at here. Oh, here we go again. But so far, real estate board's numbers show price declines have been mild, but the benchmark of detached Greater Vancouver set at 1.561 million. August down 3.1% from a year earlier. Steve, people don't understand. If it's $1 million, okay, and if it goes down 1%, that's a lot of money. But people don't. People don't get that. Oh, Mike, it's only 1%. But here we go. It's 3.1% from a year earlier. So if you bought within that last year and you paid the benchmark detached Greater Vancouver price at 1.56 million, and you're down 3%, you're down quite a bit of cake.
Yeah, I agree.
And
that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, and people are like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll bounce back." In Vancouver, detached house prices went down 30% over the past year to 2.5 million, medium of 3.6 million. So that's a really good one. So right now in Vancouver, things are not looking good. I'm going to tell you straight up from what I'm seeing and feeling on the ground here. A lot of people are moving into my town from Vancouver. And they're telling me they're sick and tired of what's happening in Vancouver and sick and tired of paying so much money for nothing. And that's what I'm getting from people. A lot of people, because you got to remember, Vancouver is a very isolated city. It's very quiet. The nightlife, you were there. Didn't you notice that everybody's there, that everybody that's there is a tourist?
Yeah, I was not impressed. I couldn't believe, I actually spoke to my cousin there. I said, how do you live here? Seriously, how do you live here? This is ridiculous.
It is.
For the birds.
Yeah, it is. And you were there, and you saw it with your own eyes. And now you see why I left, right, Steve?
Absolutely. And make no mistake, that is happening in Toronto.
Of course.
There's a huge population with respect to millennials. And I'm talking, the older millennials. So we're not talking about new ones that have absolutely no money whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about millennials that are right on the cusp of not being millennials. That said, there's a mass exit happening from Toronto.
Yeah.
Whether we want to, it's happening.
I've been talking about this for months. It's been happening in California. LA County has been seeing a mass exodus. The 100,000 people from California in the last year moved to Nevada. They pushed the median home price from $149 to just in and around 300,000 right now. Just people from California. And they're expecting another 100,000.
That's insane.
Yeah. I read the article last week on my show. Last week's show. Nevada. And talking about what's happening in the state of Nevada and Arizona and New Mexico, where there's a huge California exodus, right?
Yep.
So Toronto's seeing it too. People are actually leaving places like Cambridge, Ontario, and Waterloo, Ontario, because it's getting too expensive there. Oh,
yeah. Yep, absolutely. People are are starting to drive until they can afford.
Mhm.
And I hate to say that because many real estate agents use that as a marketing tool where, yeah, you have to live somewhere, so you know what, regrettably, you're going to have to drive till you can afford. And you know what? I disagree with that 150%.
Yeah.
So when this reset button happens, and it's inevitably going to happen, I don't care what anybody says. You know, the writing is not only on the wall, but it's right in front of us, and it's happening on a daily basis. When this does come to fruition, we are going to see where things not only stand, but we're gonna get a sense of, you know, what is normal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm truly looking forward to.
I haven't seen a normal market, Steve. How long has it been? Since 2007, 2008? We haven't seen a normal market since 2007, 2008. Nothing's been set straight.
That's right. So from 2000, you know, we're you know, Mike, that's 10 years.
Yeah.
That's 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
I know. Like, in 10 years, I'm going to be friggin' 50 years old, dude. If this goes on for 10 more years, I'm going to be friggin' 50 years old. It's like, time passes by. Time waits for nobody. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I don't think it's going to be another 10 years. I don't even think it's going to be another 10 months.
Yeah.
I think we're here in the now, and we have no choice but to face reality head on. And the sooner we realize what needs to happen, the better it will be. And I'm of a firm believer that the government as well as the media are in cahoots for the purposes of making sure that people do not freak out. And they are suppressing a lot of information.
But why are they But why are they purposely destroying our lives for?
Well, that's just it. The Uncle Sam, in my opinion, wants to truly, you know, control everyone, and you know that's why we're in this situation, because they really truly want to get rid of cash. In terms of it being legal tender, they want everything to be tracked, every dollar to be tracked by way of plastic, whether that be debit card or credit card.
Yep, New World Order Agenda 21.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, Kevin Thompson just said something in the live chat. He says 700K is like $3,200 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's about right in terms of a mortgage payment. And that's today. That is today, people.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow, not a month from now. That's today.
But remember we took our calculator out, $3,200 a month. That's net. So you got to make at least per month
64 large.
5,400, 5, 6. You have to make about 5 large net per month, not gross, net. So then you need to make about 7.5 gross per month. So you got to make it in and around 105,000 a year.
Right, and you're at a 50% tax bracket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just wondering who has that money.
I don't know. Doctors don't. Did you hear about those doctors that are going bankrupt because they can't even afford to pay their bills?
No, I didn't.
It's happening. Doctors, lawyers. It's happening in Sydney right now. Doctors are closing up practice or moving practices to smaller towns that could benefit from it because they're not benefiting their lives, and a lot of them with private practices are not making ends meet in those big cities in Australia. So they're all moving to cheaper towns. Same thing with people in New Zealand. You know, everyone's moving to other towns, you know. And those other towns are seeing the effect of the people moving in, and they're now mimicking or moving around pricing. Me moving into Merritt here where I moved, I help contribute to skewing the housing prices here. I help contribute to that. You know what I'm saying? And so has 9 or 7 other people on my cul-de-sac have contributed to skewing the numbers here in this town.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm not paying $2 million for a house that's realistically worth 300 grand. Because,
Yeah, I hear you.
because people that have come to my house and that know me and saw all the rooms and all the suites. This house used to have like 3 suites in it, eh?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so now when they see the house, they're like, holy crap, Mike. It's like this house in Vancouver is going to be $2-3 million bucks, especially with the size of your backyard. You know? And I'm like,
You have a pretty nice backyard, Mike. Not gonna lie.
yeah, but still, I'm not going to pay $3 million for a house that's realistically worth 300 grand. And I pay 300 grand for it, or 260 for my house.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
You know, it's bang for your buck. Oh! There was one that was a bang for your buck. Hold on, guys. Bang for your buck. Bang for your buck. Hold on. Did you see that article that I put on my Facebook? Oh, you don't have Facebook, Steve. You suck. Hold on.
Tell me how you really feel.
Yeah, there was an article I think I put up. I don't know if it's on here. Yeah, Donald Trump tweeted my name today. I'm joking. Metro Vancouver drivers are going to start seeing tolls per kilometer. This is funny. I got a video up here about this happened in Markham, Ontario. Sweet corn, 12 sweet corns or 12 things of corn for $1.68. And there's all these people breaking everything apart there to get it.
Wow.
Yeah. If they didn't say Markham, Ontario, I would have thought this was somewhere in China. Because everybody here looks like of Chinese descent. So I'm not trying to be racist, but if they didn't say Markham, Ontario, I'll expand so people can see it. So they're fighting over this corn.
Calm down.
Calm down, see?
Calm down.
Oh my God.
唔好咁啦。
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to share that. I couldn't believe that when I saw that. Holy smokes. So, I mean, sweet corn on sale. I think the corn market is where we got to go, Steve.
That's pretty funny.
Okay, I have my
That's
article.
in Markham, Ontario.
Yeah. Just type in Markham, Ontario, sweet corn. You're going to have Newmarket, Ontario. Sorry. Here it is. This is the article I wanted to bring up. Come on. I don't know why it's slow as molasses. They're probably trying to block us, Steve, right now. They're stopping us right now. We can't even get in. Someone says they are Cantonese, not Chinese. Okay. Oh, man. Why isn't this article opening? Come on. Here we go. In Vancouver real estate, a shack. It is a shack is what it is. A shack costs $7 million. This is where you could buy elsewhere. So there's the picture of the house there, right there, people. So there's the image on Twitter. That's $7 million, Steve. Steve, can you see the screen?
Yeah, I'm just looking at it right now.
That's $7 million bucks. Can we have a moment of silence for this house, please? Yeah, we need a moment of silence for this house because it's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. $7 million, Steve.
Wow.
Yeah. Asking price. Now, this is what you could buy in other cities. San Francisco, you could buy this. It looks like a whole corner of a city block. It looks like a bank. It looks like it was previously a bank. Huge. That's what you could buy in San Francisco. This is what you could buy in Brooklyn. Ooh, 845 Carroll Street. Wow, 9 beds, 5 baths, almost 5,000 square feet. And then Old Westbury, New York, $5 million bucks. Wow, it's got a pool and everything, man. With a hot tub. And then Seattle, you could buy this. Nice home, too. Then Calgary, you could buy this. 4 beds. Oh, wow, that's a nice house, but it's got underground parking, Steve. 6,000 square feet. But the only problem is it's in Calgary, so it's kind of hard. Unless you own an oil company or something, I think it would make sense, right?
Very true. Very, very true.
Wow, look at this house in Toronto, $6 million, and that's what kind of flabbergasts me. That same house in Orlando, Florida, because Florida's crashing right now. Steve, did you see my last week's show?
I did, yeah. I did, and I actually spoke to a couple of friends down there, and they confirmed that.
Oh yeah, Florida is what is it? They're looking at 200 to 300 foreclosures per month, and that's
I heard it was about 250, 260 a month.
Yeah, foreclosures.
Wow.
Yeah, so we got Demise Music on our team, Steve. Demise Music Entertainment is a young comic from Silicon Valley, and he's going to be our eyes and ears in San Jose, Silicon Valley, California. So he's going to be on the show once in a while, telling us what's happening down there with the housing, and he's going to start finding housing stories he could share with us from friends and neighbors and what's going on down there. Because remember, Steve, a lot of this stuff is through the grapevine. You got to hear it through people. The news won't give it to you. Your newspapers won't give it to you. Heck, CNN won't give it to you.
I agree. Hopefully that does change very, very soon.
Yeah. Anyway, Steve, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna read a few more headlines, and I'm gonna have to pack. You have no idea. You know the starting business from home thing I started?
Yeah.
I think I'm in over my head. I got 56 things I need to pack.
You're gonna put your kid to work.
Yeah, 56 things I need to pack, and they're average from $30 to $90 an item.
Wow.
Yeah, so I gotta pack up. Guys, open a home. I've done it, and it's working. I mean, watch my series. I'll do an updated video tomorrow on starting a home business from scratch. If you want some extra, especially if you're on a train for 2 hours getting to work every day, there's ways to get your downtime working for you. When you're on downtime, don't read a damn book. Get on that damn phone or on your tablet and start selling stuff online. So, anyway.
Good approach. It's a good approach. Well, Mike, thanks for having me on your show. It's always a pleasure, and I'll keep my eyes and ears open, and I'm sure we'll have lots to discuss in the not-too-distant future.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night. Let me know if you want to be Mike on the Night. We should do a show about, I don't know, maybe we could talk about something off topic, off housing topic. Let me know if you want to. Yeah.
I think that would be great. Thanks so much, Mike. Have a great night. Cheers.
Good night. Cheers. Okay, that was STP, Steve the Plumber in the house. And let me read a few headlines before I get off. Because a lot of people in New Zealand get really mad when I don't cover New Zealand. So here's a few articles I'm going to read off here. Auckland housing market rears its heads as sale prices and listings lift. So what is happening? There were 795 successful house sales in Auckland in September. That's not too bad with the size of the city, right? Auckland's property market showed signs of waking up from an extended lull in August as sale prices, turnover, and new listings all increased. Sales realtor Barfoot and Thompson. The median sale price increased 3.7% to $840,000 in August from a year earlier, while the numbers of sales gained 2.3% and 795, the city's biggest real estate agent said in a statement. Okay, guys. I need to know what the heck is going on here. I need somebody from New Zealand. I don't care where they're from. I don't care if they're from Auckland. I don't care if they're from Christchurch. I don't care where they're from. I need to know what the heck is happening in the housing market in New Zealand. They have a new cabinet minister in there, a whole new platform to alleviate the price of housing. They've been reading the law, and it's in reading right now to ban foreign buyers. But how are prices still going up in New Zealand? The slowdown saw numbers of listings dwindle as owners refrained from putting their houses on the market, and the number of available listings at the end of August was 4,022, 0.7% increase from a year earlier, but still fewest since September. Still, Barfoot Managing Director Peter Thompson, new listings climbed 5.6% to 1,331 from a year early. Positive sign the market's gearing up for positive spring. And right now in the Southern Hemisphere, New Zealand is going into spring. And it's spring buying time. It's spring. Let's clean the car. Let's go out and see houses. Let's go to open houses. But what is happening, guys? What is happening? What is happening? Reserve Bank data last month showed that low equity mortgage lending accounted for 10.2% in the market in July, the highest level since RBNZ, Royal Bank of New Zealand, restricted the level of lending. Banks could make borrowers with less than a fifth down as a deposit. Ooh. Loser LVR restrictions have encouraged the likes of a state-owned Kiwi bank to pitch for Kiwi builds and build home buyers generally, offering loans to borrowers with just 10% down and adding low equity fee. Guys, don't get into these damn traps with less down and stuff, because if the market takes a hit, there goes your 10% right off the bat, right off. It could be a week. Watch out. Auckland property prices soared ahead of much of the country through the middle part of the decade, fueled by cheap finance as a shortage of housing failed to keep up with the expanding population. Real Estate Institute of New Zealand figures show affordable housing below 500,000 accounted for about 42.5% of the country's turnover in July, while 1 million plus property sales made up 13%. Guys, I don't know a lot of people in New Zealand that could afford $500,000 for a house. So somebody is buying these houses, and yes, a lot of foreign investors are coming in. Interest Co. New Zealand, housing values down in Auckland and Christchurch up. Okay, so what's going on? Is it going up or is it going down? That's why I need somebody on the show from New Zealand. I have so many people comment on my channel from New Zealand. Can you please add me to Skype? Mike Martins 1980. It's free. They don't even ask you any questions on that. It's really good. I got it. I just put my email. Boom, I'm in. And then as people just started adding me, but I need somebody in Kiwi land to give me or to give us a bit of insight on what's happening. Housing values down in Auckland and Christchurch. Up in Wellington, Auckland sellers adjusting expectations are more open to negotiation. So it looks like people are motivated sellers. Winter has not been kind to property values in parts of the country, with national average value of a residential properties now sitting at 672 large, down 1.6 compared to 3 months earlier, according to the quotable value. The latest figures from QV show that the average value of homes in this country declined slowly but steadily over winter, although it remains up by 4.8 points compared to a year earlier. In Auckland region, the average value of residential properties was 1.048 million in August, down by 0.4 points compared to 3 months earlier. According to QV, average values within Auckland have declined over the last 3 months. In Rodney, they're down 0.05. North Shore down 1.1. Whitakari 0.4, Central Auckland suburbs 0.2%, and Manuaka 0.1%, but Rose in Papakura 0.1%, and Franklin 0.3%. The fall in investor activity has opened up spaces for first home buyers entry-level market. QV Auckland Seniors consultant James Steele. We are continuing to see a high proportion of properties come to the market as price by negotiation as opposed to auction. So good. Price negotiation is what we want. We don't want auctions. Who the hell wants to go to an auction and buy a house? It's not like I'm buying a Picasso painting. You know, a priceless... They're treating these houses as priceless items. There's so many houses in this world. It's not like you're buying one of a kind. Give me a break. With less demand, sellers are adjusting expectations and more open to negotiations in order to get their property sold. Motivated seller! So, someone's saying, Mike, you should get in digital finance analytics to call in. He's a know-it-all man for Australian markets. Yeah, I think I messaged him on his comments on one of his videos that I saw, and I haven't heard back. Moneyman says, I had a buddy in the interior who left window a crack open, fire alarm went off due to the wildfire smoke pouring into the window. Wow. So you open your window to let some air in and okay, never mind. Yeah. Wow, fire alarm goes off. Okay, in Wellington City, the average value declined 0.2% over the last 3 months, although it rose in Periro. I can't even Perira. 0.7%, lower Hut 1.5%, and Upper Hut 2.7%. As affordability constraints become increasingly relevant, yeah, thank you. We're seeing growing demand for different types of property. Wellington Senior Consultants, don't tell me micro houses or micro rooms. Please don't tell me that. 2-bedroom semi-detached units are selling particularly well. Yeah, cheaper inventory always sells. As well, they provide more affordable option for young professional families. Yeah, then you have 2 kids. What happens? That's a problem. So here it is. Here's the house price index for 2018. Huge numbers, man. Historical low interest rates. Yeah, I'll move right here. Gray. I'll move to gray. 217,000. I'll show you where else I'll move to. Here, I'll move to here, to Gore. I'll move to Gore. And then just like when I moved here to Maryland, oh, what are you moving there for? Ah, hey, look, I'm doing well. I made it. I could go anywhere. I don't even know where this place Gore is. I could move there. I could move to Gore, New Zealand and make it. These people need to think outside the box because they're going to spend $1.16 million. You know what I'm saying? Cancel Netflix. Let's move on. The winter season has set the chill through the housing market with slower prices growth. That's exactly what I just read. Slower growth in housing, Auckland housing market. London housing, the bearish Brexit take. Guys, remember, they're going to be blaming everything on the housing market. They're not going to blame it on bad lending practices, and they won't be blaming it on foolish spending practices where people foolishly borrowing money they can't pay back. So London housing, the bearish Brexit take. And I can't read this one because they want 100. No. London Housing Association outlook moved to negative by Moody's. Ireland's housing policy labeled as a dramatic failure by independent think tank. Remember the article I read a few days back where they're having a really hard time in their housing market right now in Ireland. Irish house prices are heading for a soft landing. Oof. I read something like this a few days back. Many housing bubbles are forming in all cities all over the U.S., but one major city is actually seeing prices fall. So this one's from June 27, 2018, and I brought it up because it's a few months old, and I want to see. I know Seattle's up there. I know which ones are up there, but I want to see. Okay, Boston. There's Boston, Seattle, of course. Denver, yeah. Dallas-Fort Worth for sure. Atlanta. Portland. Oh yeah, Portland's tipping at 401,000 right now. San Francisco Bay Area. Los Angeles. New York City condos. Okay. We all knew that, and that's all been happening. 9 U.S. cities where new housing bubble may be forming. Now, here's the treat about this article. This article is from February 28th, 2018, sorry. It's from February of this year. These are what they predicted of the 9 U.S. cities where a new housing bubble may be forming. Come on. Boston. Seattle. Denver. Dallas-Fort Worth. Atlanta. Portland. San Francisco. So, bubbles are forming. It's better rented to buy in today's housing market. I'm going to leave this with you guys. A lot of people ask me the same question. So I'm going to leave this with you guys. It's reality check by CNBC. It's better to rent than to buy in today's housing market, guys. Take a look at this on your own. Reality check by CNBC. And then that's it, guys. I got like 50 things to pack right now. 59, I think. I sold on eBay today. So I need to put my kids to bed. And I need to head out, guys. I need to head out. Anyways, guys, yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'd like to know. I've been talking about this housing thing for years. You know, it's just nothing's normal. Nothing seems normal. It hasn't been normal since 2007 and 2008. And oh, we got news just in. Let me see here if I can even open this. Yeah, I can. Here we go. News just in. When is this from? ANZ raise interest rates. Combank and ANZ have announced more pain for borrowers despite the official crash rate move for more than 2 years. Yeah, they have to raise rates. Combank and ANZ have joined Westpac in raising interest rates. Guys, this is this is in Australia, by the way, just so you guys know. Westpac led the pack, basically raising interest rates. And then the two banks both announced rate hikes within minutes of each other on Thursday afternoon, following Westpac announcement last week. Right now, guys, it is Thursday afternoon in Australia. It is still Wednesday night here for me. So, Common Bank, the Common Bank will increase all variable home loan rates by 15 basis points. So, it's not a lot, but it's going to start creating a little bit of panic in the markets. And there's a lot of other ones to follow suit too. That's nothing. And by the time the last big bank jumps on board, the first bank, Westpac, is going to just raise it another 15 basis points or 20 basis points. I think they're going to do is they want to raise interest rates 4 times, but they want to raise it at very slow increments. So they're going to have to raise it 8 times. Instead of doing 0.5 or 50 basis points, they're doing 15. So they're going to make it look like, hey, you know, it's just only 15. Weather it out a bit, see if people could pay the bills. Few foreclosures, weather it out. And then another 0.15, weather it out, see who forecloses, who defaults, who walks away. And then another 15, weather it out until it gets to 1 whole percentage point, till it's at 2.5. Weather it out. It's going to take them anywhere from 1 to 3 years to properly raise rates, and there's a lot of properties going down in price right now in Australia, especially in the expensive markets in Sydney and the Sydney area right now. Anyways, guys, I gotta go. I've been here for 3 hours and 21 minutes. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'd like to know what you guys think of what's going on. Please share my stuff out there. Get people watching this stuff, even if, you know, I'm not 100% on the ball with some of the stuff. At least they could get an insight on what's being said out there, what's happening. I need more people. I need people from New Zealand to come on board on our show. I need, you know, I already got a couple of people from California. I got a couple of people from Australia. I got quite a few people in Canada. I got one person in the UK, but the problem is my show's on at 4 in the morning there. That's the problem. So if I could get more people from New Zealand, I'd be very happy. And a couple of people, I need some people from New York, Boston, Chicago area, you know, especially for my Mike in the Night show. Mike in the Night Saturday nights, where we don't talk about housing and we talk about shootings in Chicago, overdoses and wherever. And I like to have people from those cities, like, so what's happening in Chicago? The gun, you know, is happening here, and there's crimes and blah, blah, blah. I like to get an insight from different people from all the English-speaking world, you know? So, let me know what you guys think. Comment below in the comment section. I'd like to know. And thanks for watching, guys.